You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Oh, there they go. Your beloved Jacksonville Jaguars getting on the practice field out there in good old jolly London, England. Got Tyson Campbell out there in his little joggers. Oh, there's Trevor. All right. BTJ with a little catch. A little look at the camera. I see you. Don't worry about it. Hey, look, practice as much as you need, fellas, because frankly, at this point, we need every second that we can get on this practice field. You know, games are won in practice. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. So let's get some practice in. I know you're wondering, who is that smooth, sultry voice that we hear right now? We decided we were going to make this show a little prettier today. No Brent, no Austen on the Brent and Austen Show. This is the Marcel Robinson and Jason Hamby Show. What's going on, Hamby? How we doing today, brother?
We good, man. We good. We're just hoping that there's some productivity on the football field at practice, and not just looking pretty.
Quality, not quantity.
We're allowed to look pretty, but they actually have to be productive.
Well, one guy, you may have heard of him. He once said, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. So me personally, I'm more of a play good and look good kind of guy. You don't have to choose. You can have both.
Mm-hmm.
You can have both. But what you can't have is two wins you can't have two wins now. But you definitely can't have two losses over there in London. And obviously, that's what the Jaguars are on the practice hoping to prevent after, we don't want to harp on it for too long, but obviously another disappointing loss, especially over there in London versus Chicago Bears on Sunday. Where do we go from here? That's the question. Some might say only up. You can't get any worse. Well, I'm here to tell you can. But obviously, a lot to get to on the show today. We have some good news. No matter what happens on the field, the Jaguars lost on the field, but the city won yesterday. Mm-hmm. Obviously, getting that stadium deal approved. It was something we all knew was going to happen. Just kind of a formality, but good to get all those boxes checked. And we'll get into a lot of that later in the show. Brent Martineau will join us shortly. He's over there on London time. Let me tell you something about Brent Martineau. This guy was texting me last night at 8 o'clock our time.
Yep.
So I'm not sure. For those keeping track at home, that's about, 4 or 5. I think it's a 4 or 5 hour difference, right?
It's 5, yeah.
5 hour difference. So he's texting me, and I'm like, yo, go to bed, bro. Like, what are you doing? Apparently having some sleep troubles over there. But let me tell you something. This guy works, obviously him and Stewart over there in London, and he's working to get you all the information. Only team, as from what I understand, that was in the room during the stadium approval conferences yesterday. So we're going to hear from Jaguars owner Shad Khan, Jaguars president Mark Lamping, and the mayor of Jacksonville, the Honorable Mayor Donna Deegan. So a lot of that getting to later in the show, but let's start off talking about the team. Obviously, the team that's going to play in this new stadium whenever it opens up in 2028. We got a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
we got a lot of work to do. You saw the game, I saw the game, everyone saw the game. Everyone probably wishes they didn't see the game, but if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, what obviously everything that came out, we'll get into Cisco's comments, as you guys have probably gotten into a little bit already, but. Hamby, if you're in that locker room, what are you saying to each other? You've been in locker rooms before. You're a team guy. What are you talking about in the locker room if you're the players?
If I'm the players or if I'm the coaches?
If you're the players, because I have this belief. Yes, I understand coaching is part of winning and losing, but at the end of the day, the players got to make plays. Right. And I know Doug says it, and I know it's a little bit of a lack of accountability. Mm-hmm. Look, play calling hasn't been that great. I know it's been kind of the buzzword that people have been talking about, but when I watch these games, I see a lot of mistakes just from playing.
Right.
It's if play calling is the only issue, then the execution on the field should be flawless.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is I'm trying to save face in a sense because of all the expectations that are coming into the season. Those aren't only put on by fans. Like, I guess people also don't understand that as players have their own expectations of what they expect individually and as a unit and as a team, right? Three phases almost. Mm-hmm. And for them to be 1-5, there's no position group that would look you in the face right now and tell you that they've played well up to their own personal standard.
Sure.
So I still think even record-wise is one thing. They all know that they have to win games, but I think almost as position groups, they're telling each other, look, we have completely blown it according to what we thought we were going to be able to do. And you hate to be just individualistic already 5-6 games into the year, but if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Look, if you need to compare your play to your salary in order to play better, by all means, go ahead, because everybody knows that these guys are getting paid because they are good football players. And if they're not playing well, as you said, and there's a lot of individual plays within the game that they're not making, I don't know exactly what you tell yourself to just make those plays, because they kind of seem to be contagious from one guy to the next. Like Brian Thomas Jr., for example, makes play after play after play. All of a sudden we get a couple drops from guys like Gabe, and then he drops one that, why is he, it's just like that he doesn't need to practice more. He just has to make that play. Mm-hmm. And that's one of those things where it's a little hard to explain, but just a lot of guys that got to get their stuff together here.
Yeah, and I think you just mentioned it, obviously, with, PTJ dropping that ball in the end zone. I think it's such an interesting and weird concept, but, a lot like making mistakes is contagious. Mm-hmm. Like you just mentioned it. You got a guy like, Gabe, he has, ball goes off his face for the second time that I can recall in the end zone this year. And, you start thinking, like, you see guys making mistakes and you think to yourself, well, I can't do that. Can't afford a mistake. Can't afford a mistake. And everybody that's ever played any sport ever in their life knows the easiest way to make a mistake is to think about not making a mistake. Yeah. Right. Pressing, as it's called. But, I don't know. I think it's just a matter of just going out there and just playing free. When I watch them play football, I don't see them playing free football. It looks like it looks a lot more. And of course, it has to be intentional, right? You have to go out there and intentionally, play the game. But, at the end of the day, like, Christian Kirk said a few weeks ago, is like, you just got to go out there and remember why you started playing the game. Just going out there and having fun. And it doesn't look like fun football out there, and, you don't see guys flying around freely. You see guys kind of, maybe hesitating a little bit, except for a guy like Ventrell Miller, which, by the way, he's probably the one guy that I've seen on defense that's probably shined the most for me. But yeah, man, I think, never mind the paychecks. I mean, that's easy for me to say. It's not my bank account, right? But, I just think that it's just a matter of, we get all the cliches, take it one game at a time, one play at a time, not worrying about the record, not worrying about the season. But, I feel like it's hard to not do that, right? Like, I mean, if you're talking about, we just go out there and we're just going to take it one game at a time. How can you go out there and put on the performance that you just performed and say, like, it's just about this one game, or look to the next game and be like, this is just about this game. We're not thinking about the last game. I mean, you've lost every game this season other than one. Mm-hmm. It's hard to not approach a game saying, like, we can't lose any more games. But, that was last week. That's this week. Turn the page, obviously. I know you said we've got a little report from Brent out there. Yep. Out there near the Grove. Let's check in and see what our fearless leader, our fearless sleep-deprived leader, has to say about the Jags this morning.
Hey, welcome into Jaguars practice here on a Wednesday in London, England, as the Jags get ready to play their second game over here and obviously trying to find a win against the New England Patriots Sunday at Wembley Stadium. They're trying to stay upbeat, and there's some energy out here actually at practice despite the 1-5 record, maybe away from the noise of everything else because they're pretty much bunkered up in the Jaguars team hotel. Meanwhile, the Jaguars know they need to fix some things. They need to get more points offensively. They've been doing some good things, but they're just not putting it in the end zone enough. And defensively, they're giving up 35 points a game over the last month. It's just not good enough. They have to make some big changes. Well, the Jaguars did make a change this week, and that is trading Roy Robertson Harris. Doug Pederson talked to the media just a short time ago, and he said, hey, it was a need by Seattle. The Jaguars have depth. They have young players like draft picks Jordan Jefferson and Mason Smith, so they felt like it was okay to move on from Roy Robertson Harris despite liking him on the squad. And Doug Pederson thanked him for what he's done over the last few years while Doug has been the head coach here in Jacksonville. Meanwhile, some other notes. Tyson Campbell practicing this week. They'll wait to see how the week goes and see if he can go on Sunday. I think there's anticipation that he'll be able to go, but of course you got to get through the week of practice coming off that hamstring injury. Jaguars opened his window to return, remember, last week. Tayshaun Gibson still ineligible to return even though his 6-week suspension, at least by the calendar, is over. The Jaguars don't really have any information on that, and the league doesn't provide much information on that. So we'll wait and see on the Gibson front. Doesn't look like he'll be ready to go or off the exemption list from the commissioner list by Sunday to help the Jaguars out. Meanwhile, I think that's, Andre Cisco. Also, Andre Cisco, obviously a big story with us out in the postgame on Sunday, talking about how the team quit. Doug Pederson has not talked to him about the incident at all. He thinks the team has moved on. He wanted to give Andre Cisco some space over the last few days. He does not think it's had a negative impact on the locker room or anything like that, enough to address it individually with Andre Cisco. So that's the latest on the Cisco front, the Jags front, and where they head from here, trying to get a win number 2 of the season, which has taken quite a bit of time to get as we're 6 games in to 2024. More to come in just a little bit, and of course, all day and all week, we're the only local station here in London, from Jacksonville, in London, England. I'm Brent Martineau, Action Sports Jacks.
A lot going on there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot going on there.
Didn't talk to Andre Cisco.
Yeah, that's, I'm not going to lie. I don't believe that. I honestly,
Really?
I don't believe that at all. No, I don't, honestly. And look, I'm not here to question anybody's, integrity or anything like that, but I just find that incredibly hard to believe. I'm not saying that you got to call them to the principal's office kind of thing, but this happened immediately after the game. By the time we got to Sunday night, it's everywhere. It's everywhere you can think of. And it's no surprise. Everyone knows, these guys are plugged in. They hear everything. They see everything. There's no possible way that you haven't heard what Andre Cisco said about, what happened with the Jags' performance on Sunday. And honestly, regardless of how you feel, the guy's got a right to feel the way he feels. But as far as, Doug saying that he hasn't talked to him about it, I just find that hard to believe. I do. Even if it's not, like I said, it doesn't have to be a call him into the principal's office kind of thing. But, come on. You're all confined to a singular space. Yeah, of course, you're not always all up on each other. But, we're now on Wednesday. You telling me in the past 2.5 days, technically, 3 days, you haven't said anything to him at all? And if you haven't, what the hell are you waiting for?
Yeah.
You don't have to, I'm not telling you to call him in there and, hey, why'd you say that? Don't say that. Keep it in the locker room. It doesn't have to be that kind of talk. But even if you haven't said anything to him, why the hell wouldn't you come to him and ask him why he felt that way? Hey, man, we heard your comments, whatever. Let me check in with you. Check the temperature.
Yeah.
How you feeling? This guy just openly came out and said that he felt like he was, out there and he saw the team quit. Man said it's dangerous to be playing with guys like that because other people are putting their bodies on the line. Let me translate that for you. I'm watching guys out there giving half effort, that's the quickest way for me to get hurt. And if he's giving half effort, I'm definitely not about to play with him. Mm-hmm. How do you not check the temperature that way?
Right.
So if he hasn't, kind of concerning, not going to lie. But like I said, I find it hard to believe that he has not said anything to Andre Cisco about the comments that were made.
He said he wanted to give him a couple of days to process. That was exactly what he said.
Dude, these are football players. Come on, brother.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't need 2 days to process. What are we talking about?
It's not like Cisco has always been a drama guy.
No.
He's a straight up guy who's not in the headlines at all. And, Pederson started the quote by talking about how much of a leader Cisco was. Well, if that's the case, all the more reason just to go, like you said, go get a temperature check on, hey, how are we feeling going into this week? Are we, is there any even feedback that we can get from you to take forward into this practice week instead of just acting as if it didn't happen?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I understand, I guess, why Pederson, he talks about how much of this is a player's team and it's a player's locker room. I guess if you believe that, then you do stuff like this and you let the players hash it out and handle it. But then again, you're the head coach for a reason.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and look, and I get it. Doug's always been a players coach guy. That's why everybody likes playing for him. So, at the end of the day, for him, it's always going to be about protecting the players. And honestly, I have no problem with that. Keep keep what's inside the locker room inside the locker room. Like I have no problem with that. I mean, obviously, like I said, I know what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. Like we're not going to know 95% of what goes on in the locker room. And honestly, I have no problem with that. But I don't like coming out and saying, I don't like coming, like for me, if he hasn't talked to him, like cool, he hasn't talked to him. I'm not there. I'm not his keeper. I'm not his handler. I haven't been next to him to see who he's talking to day in and day out, so, it's not right for me to openly say that he's lying because, I don't know. So I won't speak on that. But I just find it incredibly hard to believe that they haven't spoken about it at all. And if that is true and they haven't spoken about it, that concerns me a little bit. That's all. So
yeah.
That's my 2 cents on it. So moving a little bit further, obviously we talked about some other things that Brent talked about were I just want to touch on it briefly. The trade of Roy Robertson-Harris, obviously trading him to Seattle. I don't care what Seattle's depth looks like. I don't care.
Yeah.
So what? I mean,
I thought that was a weird answer as well.
Yeah, I don't care what their depth looks. I care what our depth looks like.
And I don't like our depth.
I don't like our depth
interior.
either. I also don't like the fact that, Roy's been playing, fairly well. I mean, of all the guys that have made plays, and the defensive line, it's hard to gauge because, most people just look at the box score in terms of sacks, but he's a guy that's made impactful plays. I don't think he was necessarily probably used correctly. I don't think he was maybe put in a position to do what he does best in terms of, being on the outside inside, but, that's neither here nor there. That's why they get paid millions of dollars to know more than I know. So, who knows? Roy might have, ripped him a new one after the game because Roy can be a little bit of he can be an emotional individual. So he might have said a few things. They say, you know what, gotta get him out of here. But look, hey, wish him the best. Roy's always been fairly good to us. So wish him the best out there in Seattle. One thing I've been kind of mulling this over all morning, and I'm gonna ask you, Hampy, if you're a Jags fan, do you want Tyson Campbell to play on Sunday?
Absolutely.
No doubt, 100%.
Because we paid him.
It's true. It's true.
Because we paid him.
Let me ask you this: are you concerned if Tyson Campbell is the difference maker to them beating the Patriots? Like if right now, if Tyson doesn't play, you're worried about the Patriots beating the Jags.
And if he does play, I'm confident.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's a big concern.
I think for me,
you can't that much cannot hinge on one player.
It's true. That's true. Here's my thought. Hamstrings are tough.
Yeah, they linger.
They're tough. And he's a guy that's had hamstring issues before.
Mm-hmm.
And, they give you the 4 to 6 week timeline in terms of getting healthy. That's with, activity and intensive rehab. But through the course of a season, it's tough to get a fully healed hamstring. I mean, obviously we saw Evan come back, played well on Sunday. I think if we can't beat the New England Patriots without Tyson Campbell, it's already pretty bad, but I think it's tough. I think that makes it that much worse. I think for me,
you want to see him win without him.
I don't want to see. I do obviously, yes, want to see them win without him, but I feel like, another week on the shelf can mean all the difference to him. Another week on the shelf could be the difference between him playing, through week 10 and through the rest of the year.
No, I get that.
I think they should be able to win without him. I understand, you paid him, you brought him over, you want to see him, you want to get him out there, you want to get him on the game field. Another way to look at this could be, hey, New England Patriots wide receiver course shouldn't be that much of a task. So This is, I don't want to call it a warm-up game because those guys are athletes and, they play hard. I don't want to take away from anybody, but, there's a very big difference between guarding, DeMario Douglas, Mandarin high school grad, who we love very much, 2018 state championship with the Mandarin Mustangs. It's a very big difference between guarding him one-on-one and say, now Devontae Adams, who we're going to get to in a second, when we play the Jets later this year, right? So,
and then the other guys are all rookies.
Yeah, and
Jalen Polk, and
then you got the Packers next week. You more worried about the Packers offense or the Patriots offense?
Yeah, definitely the Packers.
So look, I understand you want to get him out there, and like I said, another way to look at it is, well, maybe you want to get him out there to run up run around with the Patriots, see where he's at, to see what he can do versus the Packers. That's another way to look at it. But I just those hamstrings, man, they scare you. They're tough.
Yeah.
You just never know. But nonetheless, good to see him out there, kind of getting around, running around a little bit, moving. You saw in the video we just played, kind of walking around. We know that he's been, intensive with the rehab, and the Jags have been doing a good job of getting those guys back. Obviously, like I said, we just talked about Evan Ingram looked good out there in the game versus the Bears. So hopefully that's kind of sounds like he felt good coming out of the game, and hopefully that translates going in to next week. Just quickly taking a peek at the chat. I think YB400 is right, man. We need some energy.
Yeah,
on the team. I think that it's definitely noticeable to see that they're kind of down, a little bit. Not saying that they're not trying. There's a big difference between effort and energy, right? You can give effort and have minimal energy,
right?
But yeah, man, you don't see guys just kind of. I don't know. It's very tough to kind of put into words, but it just feels flat, right? All the time. It just feels flat all the time. And it doesn't matter, offense and defense, and that is definitely a concern. That's not something that I would put on coaching.
Right.
I mean, that for me, that's kind of
y'all are grown men. It's not up to a coach to get you energized.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, what do they always say? If I got to get you ready to play on Sunday, then you ain't ready to play on Sunday.
Yeah.
But I think obviously you like to say a win will help. A win helps, but I mean they got to win versus Indy. Came out next week and laid eggs in Chicago.
Yeah.
Look,
two teams that just got a lot of energy and introduced straight into their locker room are the Jets and the Bills.
Yeah.
And in two big trades. Obviously we don't expect the Jags to be buyers of any means.
Correct.
At any position.
Right.
But it's almost like if you were one player away, that'd be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the issue. But for those teams specifically, especially the Jets, a team that's muddling around, they really did feel like they were one player away. Same with the Bills, and they went and got their guys. She's going to have a huge impact on their teams and probably, whether they can make a big playoff run or not.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely. Let's split them up. Let's talk about the big one, Davante Adams with the Jets. Mm-hmm. Let's touch on him first. That's yeah. Congratulations.
You did it, Davante.
Yeah, right.
You got what you wanted.
I mean, you want to talk about moving the chess pieces. Good job, brother. But no one's surprised. Obviously, I'm pretty sure everyone talked about him getting traded to the Jets when Derek Carr got his walking papers.
Yeah.
So, question I'm trying to think of the best way to ask this question. Taking biases aside, right?
Uh-huh.
Are you upset that Davante Adams, obviously if you're a Raider fan you are, but are you upset that he finagled his way out of Vegas? Or, do you think the guy has do you think it was a reasonable method of departure for him?
It kind of does annoy me, I guess would be the right word. One, because I'm a little bit tired of the drama from the huge wide receivers, all the way from Jamar Chase to literally we've seen it across the board. Ayuk, all of them, kind of thinking that they have more control or total control over where they are, how much exact money they make, everything like that. But my real issue, because you can poke holes in that one and say that he deserves it, and that's fine. But my real issue is why this never happened or didn't happen in the offseason. Because he was not content last year. He was not happy. There were trade rumors last year for Davante Adams.
Yep.
And then everything seemed to dissipate and calm down in the offseason, while all the while they know his history. And Davante Adams knows, on the flip hand, that he's going to have Gardner Minshew and O'Connell throwing him the football still.
Yeah.
And if that didn't make him happy at all last year with a similar quarterback, then why would he think that he was going to be okay or and content and happy for 17 games this year. And why didn't this get done in the offseason? And then all of a sudden, literally, he's already complaining after they were 1-1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If this should have been done a long time ago, because you've just caused so many distractions for your team and allowed them. I don't know who it's on more, because if it's on Devontae, then it makes me think you allowed your team to go into this year thinking they had you for 17 games, that you were going to buy in just like every other guy on the roster, and here you are again not doing it. And look, you forced your hand, you get your way, but at how many people's expense, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I'm not in that room. It could be the Raiders' fault this entire time.
Yeah.
Where they're not, they refused to listen over last year, over the offseason, and at the end of the day, they got to get something for him, because or else he's just not going to play.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think that I wouldn't be shocked if this was a conversation in the offseason. I think, maybe obviously it didn't come to fruition, nothing materialized from it, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was a conversation of like, him expressing his displeasure with what's going on. And, if a guy like, Antonio Pierce, another players coach guy, I'm not saying that he talked him into staying, but very well could have kind of, say, hey, look, man, just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Give it a shot, type of deal, right? And then got out there and just saw that it kind of was, it was what it was. It is what it is. It's tough for me because, and if this is the case, some of this is on Devontae, but, it's no secret that he came to Vegas to play with Derek Carr.
Right.
That's why he came out there.
Right.
It's out there, right? And then your guy gets shipped off, and you're kind of just like, well, like, the hell? Like, this is why I came out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I came out here to play with him, and now he's gone. So it's like, all right, well, I'll see what you're talking about. See what's going on. Obviously, and then you get a guy like AOC over there, and it's like, yeah, this isn't happening for me.
Yeah.
Team says, all right, hey, look, check it out. What we'll do, we'll make a move. We'll go out and get Gardner Minshew. He's obviously we'll see. We're making moves to try to kind of keep you here. And so it's like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Like I'm here until I'm not here, right? I'm committed, but I'm not like committed, right? So and then you get in there, and then the season is what it was. It's like, you know what? I can't do this. I just can't. And honestly, it might be more than just what we see on the game. Like, if anyone saw the receiver, special on Netflix,
yep.
This is a guy who was just pissed off, like, because he wasn't getting the ball the way he needed to get the ball, and that's, I hesitate throwing that word, that diva word everyone likes throwing out there, but as a receiver, you want to be put in positions to win, to succeed. You don't want to be, running drag routes across the middle and having the ball sail on you and get your head cleaned off, So I don't know if I'm upset that he kind of forced his way out. I do hear your point though. Like I'm kind of the ilk of, hey, if you make a commitment, that's your commitment. You know what I'm saying? Like if you say you're gonna play with us, like run with us.
Let me ask you this though: how bad of a look is it for him if he plays this Sunday with that hamstring?
Oh, it's a terrible look for him, but I don't think he cares.
Really?
I mean, he knows that's what it's gonna be. Like everyone on the planet knows that he's playing on Sunday. Like even if he doesn't start, he's playing in some capacity on Sunday. I would be shocked if he didn't, right? But at the end of the day, like, I don't think he cares. And truthfully, I don't really think he should care what people think about if he plays on Sunday. If I'm him, honestly, as far as like worrying how it looks to other people, at the end of the day, it's his family he got to feed, it's his career, his choice, his consequences kind of deal.
Right.
But, I think it's, the Raiders will obviously hate him for it. I think the most of the people that are kind of, the traditionalists would say, well, that's wrong. He shouldn't do that. He should, if he had a hamstring injury last week, all of a sudden it's, healed now. We see that all the time.
Yeah.
We see guys, they're injured on their team. And by the way, sometimes, teams, if you're injured, you may be able to play, but they don't want you to play to get hurt because they know you don't want to be there, so they want to be able to trade you and get something for you. If he goes out there and plays and, God forbid, breaks his leg while he's playing for the Raiders, who the hell is trading for Devontae Adams with a broken leg?
Yeah.
You know? So, it's a little bit back and forth. I mean, I'm sure this trade request didn't just come last week. I'm sure they've been shopping him for a lot longer than we're aware of. So, if you have someone on the block, someone that actively is on the block, just put him on the show because you're going to have to learn how to play without him anyway.
Yeah.
So why play him?
It just hurts for Garrett Wilson fantasy owners.
Yeah.
Which I am one in multiple leagues.
Oh, yeah, that's tough. That's going to be tough for you. But shifting gears, let's move over to the Bills.
Yeah.
Real quick touch on Amari Cooper before we go to break. I like this for the Bills. I mean, I don't like the fact that they're an AFC team. I'm glad it happened before we played them on Monday night because it might have been 60 points put up. But, I think that's a good look for the Bills. I think Amari Cooper's a good player.
Yeah, I think he's still got a lot of use still in him, and he's one of those guys we've seen a lot of these receivers continued, consistent 1,000-yard years. Is Amari Cooper in his prime? No, but he's still been very good. And you pair him next to a guy like Keon Coleman, and suddenly you get a lot more dangerous because Keon Coleman can be dangerous, but when he's the only guy who's really threatening you on the outside with Shakir on the inside, you feel like you can bottle them up. At least going into the game, you feel like you can bottle them up. I'm sure the Jets are very glad that they got one game, even though they didn't win it, which they should have with the win and the field goals and all that stuff. Not besides the point. Their defense played like they could hold Buffalo, and because with Sauce and DJ Reed, you don't got to worry about much with Keon Coleman being the only downfield threat. And now you throw in Amari Cooper, also a guy who's done it a while and who can bring Keon Coleman along in a lot of ways. That's the other side benefit of this. It's back to being as dangerous of an offense as it was last year when you had Diggs and Gabe Davis.
Yep.
Like you pretty much at this point have just replaced now Diggs and Gabe Davis with Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman. And from a price perspective on their general manager, you're paying them a heck of a lot less. And you didn't give up all that much for Amari Cooper at all. Browns fans are not pleased with their return. So I think it's as of right now, as a win-win for the Bills. You got it the same way?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think, Amari Cooper is one of those guys that, a lot of times you see when these guys get to this point in their career, they start to get, paychecks based on their name as opposed to their performance. But, I think a guy like him, I think he can still play.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy, obviously, like you said, he's not, the same Amari Cooper from, back in the day. The same Amari Cooper that, as we were talking earlier, Mount Rushmore of Alabama receivers. But
100%.
he's still a guy that can catch, still a guy that can get open, and he's still got that priceless veteran presence in your wide receiver locker room to help a guy like a Keon Coleman kind of show him the ropes. And, that's I think that's incredibly invaluable. So, but we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more. We'll shift gears to a little more happy talk with the Jaguars, talk a little bit of stadium things and things happening going on. But first we'll take a break. This is the new Marcel and Jason Hamby show, taking the aforementioned Brent and Austen show. We'll leave you with a look at some of the Jags defense. Got a little we don't need a lot of that. We need a lot more of that. More of that.
How about this?
Let me get that. Come on, Chad. Let me get one of those. Looking like a young Paul Posluszny back when they were playing the Denver Broncos back in the day. Crib. Yeah, we're going to need some of that on Sunday. We'll be right back, folks.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
People helping people is at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jax 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jax and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Welcome back indeed. There's a shot of Travis Etienne and Dearness Johnson. Of course, Travis Etienne dealing with a little bit of a hamstring ailment himself. Good to see him at least walking around. We'll find out later in the week, obviously, if we're going to see him on the field. But shout out to Four, man. Tank Bixby has been toting the rock this season. It's good to see, man. Tank's a good guy, man. Tank Bigsby's a good guy. I remember when he got drafted. He has one of the toughest handshakes that you'll ever experience, by the way. Anyone who's ever shaken Artist Gilmore's hands can relate, but let me tell you something. This guy, I remember the first time I shook his hand as a rookie, getting off topic here a little bit, but I remember the first time I shook his hand as a rookie, I kind of got my hand in there, and, you got to, like, when you got a guy with a strong handshake, you got to, really get in there, right?
Yeah,
He got, like, the sides of my hands, and my hands are not small, right?
Yeah.
So he got, like, the side of my hands, like, squeezing the outside of my knuckles, and my internal dialogue was saying, punch this guy in the throat because this hurts. But I endured. And he's a good dude, man.
For the betterment of the team.
He's a good dude, man. I obviously hated what he went through last year. Of course, I mean, that's kind of how it goes sometimes. But love to see him bounce back and get all the love and credit he deserves from his hard work. So, speaking of hard work, there's a lot of hard work about to happen downtown at the good old the stadium deal. It's done.
It's done.
We got a new building. Grab those golden shovels and fake hard hats that you won't see the actual construction crew wearing. Let's break some ground.
How about that?
Come on now. Give me a gold shovel. Let's go break some ground. What are you waiting on? Oh, man. 2028 seems like so far away, but it's going to be here before you know it. Before you know it, obviously. A lot to get into with the stadium deal, and it's going to be the topic of conversation because, frankly, the Jags are 1-5. So let's win.
It's got to take away some excitement from the
stadium?
Yeah.
Someone asked me about that. I don't think it does. I think it, if anything, I think it elevates the excitement because you want to actually have something good to look forward to.
Yeah,
I mean, of course, you don't want a 1-5 team to show up in 2028 and play and be 1-5. But, I think new toys give you a little bit of a bump. Obviously, we saw it. We've seen it. I mean, with the Chargers, the Falcons, with the Rams, you get a new stadium and it kind of gives you a little bit of a boost. Does it materialize long term? That's to be determined. But I think it's good. I mean, we've got a lot of time to wonder about that. And but right now, obviously our own Brent Martineau was over there. As the stadium happenings, or he was not over there. He was over there talking with the Jags brass and of course the mayor about all the things that are happening with the stadium as the owners' meetings got underway over here in Atlanta. But I think it's good. I think it's been a long time coming. It's been a topic of conversation for the last, 5 years or so?
Yeah.
So to take this next step, to see it materialize, because obviously before things happen, talks are just talks. I do find it weird that there were some people that were asking me, hey, do you think the NFL owners would, approve it? The Jags haven't been winning. They've had, they've been winning in spurts. They've been talking about this since 2019. They've only made the playoffs that one time.
I don't think they care.
And that was exactly my point. I said, look, these owners are billionaires. They care about making billions. Like if you're 0-17, I mean, it's not a good look. But if your returns are in the black, your books are in the black at the end of the year, it is what it is. But it's good, unanimous as most of us expected, 32-0. All owners agree that the Jags are allowed to stay in Jacksonville, essentially, because that's what the stadium was.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good to see. We Brent Martineau, as we talked about, he was over there kind of kicking things around with the Jags brass. He doesn't mingle with us common folks anymore. He hangs out with the folks with the money. So he caught up with Shad Khan. Let's take a listen and see what Brent and Shad talked about on the heels of this momentous day for the city of Jacksonville.
Well, a celebratory day, and you've been working on this for a long time, ever since you took ownership of the Jacksonville Jaguars. What does it mean to deliver a new stadium to Jacksonville?
Well, I think it tells you, we believe in Jacksonville, the NFL believes in Jacksonville, and it reaffirms really all of our confidence in the city, our fans, and really now to have a venue that's world-class. It's absolutely, I think it's one of Jacksonville's finest hours.
Shad, how pleased were you to have it unanimous and talk about the job that the team did with the presentation?
Well, it really speaks to the volume, I think, Mark Lamping and really not only the Jaguars team, but frankly the NFL team. And that put it together, and I obviously was texting Tony and to get a reaction from the room, and it was like very impressive. And I think the design, I was obviously at the stadium finance committee. The design is really, it was awestruck. I think the reaction from the committee members, and I'm sure with all 32, it was similarly, quite amazing. So.
How much of a landmark day do you think this is for the city and for your organization?
I would say, and I'd be quoting Wayne Weaver here, okay, because when the deal got done, Wayne came over to MEC, and, he was saying that since this is the second most important day for the city, first being the day they got the team, and now this is not only a stadium, but really reaffirms the confidence everyone has in Jacksonville and the Jaguars being there.
Now what?
Well, now we got to get the stadium done, and obviously we got to have a great experience here.
Do you think it's going to be a long 4 years? I mean, obviously that's quite a process.
Yeah, but we've been working on this for a long time. So I think you've got to have a sense of purpose, and you've got to do it right. And you don't get another chance to do it right. So I would all be for, just doing absolutely being judicious and getting done right.
You've had a lot of accomplishments. Where does this rank in terms of getting this done? 'Cause this was not an easy lift when it first started.
Yeah, I think, it's just another step in the process of securing the Jaguars' future in Jacksonville.
When do you think you knew or had a good feeling that this was going to happen? 32-0 approval of this stadium.
Well, I think really once we developed the vision for the stadium, which was we wanted really to be a great, iconic stadium in the world. But yet we want to do it in a way where it's highly efficient. It's green. How do we recycle some of the key elements? Obviously, it's city's money. It's our money. We want to do it the best way. Once we got that right, and after, all the presentations from all the global architects we hired, that's when I knew, okay, this is going to be something really special. And the more people that have looked at it, whether it was at the league, some of the other owners, the more compelling it was that, we did nail it.
Lastly, obviously there are other buildings, Four Seasons for one, that will go up before the stadium, but how much of a catalyst is the stadium, is that iconic figure downtown?
Well, tell you the truth, I mean, the Four Seasons by itself wouldn't be nearly as impactful as having the stadium there, obviously. So, I mean, these are all elements, building blocks that, 1 + 1 + 1 is going to equal 10. I mean, that is really what we're doing to change the east side of Jacksonville in a good way.
Give me a gold shovel, man. Let's go. Give me a gold shovel. 2028, come on, man. I don't want to wait. I'll wait. Longer you wait, longer it takes. Mm-hmm. Gold shovel. Good comments there from Jaguars owner Shad Khan and Brent Martineau, catching up with them after, like he said, second most important day in the franchise's history. I'm inclined to agree. I mean, if this stadium turns out to be 80% of what the renderings show, I mean, it's awesome. Night and day. Awesome. It sort of likens SoFi Stadium as far as the renderings are. It's kind of got that your outdoor but indoor kind of feel. The canopy is going to be huge, obviously, but just kind of picking up on some of those comments that Shad said. I mean, he's absolutely right. It's kind of one of those things where you don't really know that it's going to happen until it happens. I, for one, appreciate the fact that they've at least vocally said that they've taken into account that this is the city's putting a lot of money into this, so it's very important to make sure it's it's beautiful, it's sustainable, functional, all those different things. So good day for the city. Now, obviously, the talk is going to move a little bit, and in terms of the football, but definitely another step, another box checked in the process.
Yeah. I like hearing that. When he's talking about when Brent asked him, at what point did you know that the NFL owners were going to like this deal?
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about when they brought all these people in to judge the plans
mm-hmm.
and look at the numbers, I'm guessing. And he, at one point he was like, you and the global architects and all of this, and we found out that we nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nobody better than to do that for the non-football side of things.
Right.
Now the question that I think, if I know Brent, I feel like the question that he wanted to ask was, can some of that system be applied now to the football side?
Yeah.
Because we've talked about potentially bringing somebody in, right, to communicate with Shad. Because obviously there's a disconnect between what he's being told and the reality.
Sure.
Obviously, because at the beginning of the year, he says we have the greatest team in whether he probably said in his time, most likely.
Yeah.
But regardless, we have an insanely talented team, and the expectation was really high. We failed every one of those. So there's a disconnect.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Will he bring in, right, in the same way that he brought in all of these global architects to judge the plans? Now, I'm not saying he needs a bunch of people, but help is my point, to judge the football side, to help him make better deals and be almost a liaison between players and him so that his expectations are accurate and realistic.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's fair. I think, for starters, I think he was, I think this is one of the most talented teams on paper that we've seen, here in town. Obviously, that hasn't translated, to being used efficiently to, accumulate wins. But, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, I think that, it's weird because you don't really know who's in Shad's camp. You don't really know who's in his ear, right? You don't know who he consults. Obviously, we know. He relies a lot on Tony, his son, Tony Khan, in terms of stuff like that. But, obviously you got to figure out what's going on, right? You've been sort of kind of trying to reinvent the wheel. It's sort of almost been the definition of insanity here for so many times, right? It's been, this, and then there's kind of a temporary period of, excitement, right? Optimism. Then it's like, oh, well, actually, never mind. Like it's kind of here, right? And it's funny because it's funny because we always say, well, it's the same old Jags, and it's funny. Right. It's not the same old Jags, but it is the same old result.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just a different way.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I've always said, good teams find ways to win, bad teams find ways to lose, and this team has been a bad team for a lot longer than it's been a good team. And if you're Shad Khan, if you are an owner, this kind of goes back to what we were saying about getting the approval for the deal. A lot of these billionaires, just to be honest, they don't care about the wins and losses on the field.
Right.
They care about the money that they're bringing in. But when you are a guy like Shad that steps up and, you make these declarations like this is the best team, it's time to win, the expectation is to win. Well, they're not winning, so you got to do something, right? I don't know whether that's, whether it's talking to somebody, make some decisions. Obviously, Shad's not known to be a mid-season decision kind of guy. I do enjoy the memes of like the Jafar and the King from Aladdin memes of, that's Trent Baalke holding the kind of snake staff, hypnotizing him a little bit. I do enjoy those. But, at the end of the day, like, Shad's a business owner, right? I mean, he's a billionaire for a reason, right? If something's not working in business, you find out what's not working and you solve the problem. Okay. Well, the question, like you said, first of all, you have to identify the problem. What is it? You've tried new players. You've tried new coaches, right? Haven't necessarily tried new GM. I'm not saying that's the issue where to go, but it's something to explore, right? If you've tried new coaches and that wasn't, the solution, all right, you've gotten new players, all right, that wasn't the problem. Like, at what point are you going to say, well, what haven't we changed, right? You got to bring somebody in if you don't know. I mean, at the very least, talk to some of these other successful owners. I mean, for God's sakes, please don't go talk to like a guy like Jerry Jones. He don't know what the hell he's doing out there in Dallas, But, go chat with the Hunt family. Hey, like
Jerry Jones is telling reporters that he can control who gets to talk and who gets to come to his press conferences because they asked him if they're going to sell at the deadline.
Yeah. Ask me better questions or I'll hire someone to ask me better questions. It's by far one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard in my life. So tell me you're controlling without telling me you're controlling.
Facts.
But in turn getting things back to where Shad is at, I think that he should probably hire somebody to come in and assess things. But I'm not. Don't give me some consulting firm that specializes in business because he's in the business world, right?
Right.
So he understands bringing in consultants to
come in. We need a ball knower.
Get someone who's and I'm not saying it has to be. You would hope it's someone that's done it, big name, but get someone that knows football, but not just knows football. Get someone that knows winning
players,
football and losing football, so they can tell you the difference, right? Go find me somebody that's won and lost, right? If it's, I'm not telling you to put them on staff, but at the very least, go have some conversations. I mean, the big talk now is everyone's saying like, go bring in Bill Belichick. Well, you don't know if that's going to work here. It's still, I think honestly, bringing in Bill Belichick would be similar to, Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different league. These guys are different, all those different things. But go talk to a guy like that, right? And find some answers, because right now the only thing we're doing is we're talking about the problem, and we got no answers. We're just going around in circles talking about the problems, and we got no answers. So if you come to the beginning of the season and you say this is the most talented team, the expectation is to win. It's time to win now. Okay, well, they're not winning. They're not winning now. So what are you going to do about it? Right. Don't come to me saying, we have patience. We trust. By the way, you can have trust in somebody and still be critical, and still light a fire under them. Right. I mean that's the equivalent of like a marriage, right? Let's not to get too deep in here, but I mean, if you can trust somebody, say this is exactly where I want to be, but at the same time, hey, you need to tighten up.
Yeah.
Right. Check somebody. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows? I mean, obviously, unless you're in Shad's camp, you're on the inside. You don't know, but at the end of the day, he's got to do something. Yeah. Something has to be done. We can't keep going around in circles. Definition of insanity and all that stuff. And again, I'm not saying fire Doug. I'm not saying what the answer is, but I am saying I don't get paid to find those answers, and you need to go pay somebody to do that. So. Let's take another break on the show. We should have our fearless leader, Brent Martineau, here in a little bit. So we'll take a break and take another little peek out here at this. I wanted to check back in here. There's a city. It's a little quiet right now. It's a pretty nice day outside, by the way. Shout out to the 70s. It's a nice 69 degrees, I believe is the high today. So sweater weather. Get those fireplaces warmed up, and please, for God's sakes, don't burn down your houses, and don't leave your space heaters running, because we see enough of those on the news.
Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras, or get rates as low as 1.9%. I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so we like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple: nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
It's time for your Swoop Minute with UNF Athletics, and we start on the pitch where the UNF men's soccer team pulled out a come-from-behind 2-1 win over Lipscomb on Friday night.
For the Ospreys is Acuna. Into the box, Acuna scores!
That was the second of the night, and the match winner from Joaquin Acuna. The Ospreys get a big ASUN win in Nashville. On the hardwood, the UNF women's volleyball team picked up a sweep of Queens on Friday night, with Amy Burkhart picking up 21 kills, setting a UNF D1 3-set match record. The Ospreys volleyball team will be in action this week at UNF Arena as they face off with ASUN opponents Lipscomb on Friday and Austen P on Saturday. And don't forget, we are under a month away from the start of basketball seasons for both the men and the women, who get their season started the first week of November. Season tickets for men and women's basketball are on sale and can be found along with schedules and results on UNFOspreys.com.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Kinetico Premier Softener with a Kinetico K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetico water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza. Some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us. And at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations, Donato's Pizza. Every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
There they go. Pass catchers. When they catch passes. Hey, man, those are the wide receivers, man. Let me stop talking. Oh, Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, BTJ. Need a big game out of those guys. We need a big game out of those guys for confidence, man. Just strictly for confidence. Just go out there and catch the ball, do what you do. Obviously, we saw Gabe get in the end zone, but, they're professional. Just go out there and do what you do, man. Don't worry about anything else. Just do what you do. Tight ends, too. Luke Farrell. See you out there, bro. There he is. Oh, well, here we are. We're back. Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show. It's been the Marcel and Hamby Show. I guess we'll bring Brent Martineau in at some point in time, if we like him enough.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm not really ready. I'll tell you what I want to do. Here's what we're going to do. Let's bring Brent Martineau in because I got something I want to discuss that's completely off topic, and I know he'll appreciate this. His reaction is going to be what most people would say. So I did this show called Action Sports Jax Primetime. We do it every Saturday and Sunday on CBS 47 and Fox 30. And as we all know, I'm the most stylish media member in Jacksonville. Self-proclaimed, but, proof is in the pudding. So, Brent, I'm not sure if you saw the email that we got from one of our lovely viewers about my attire on Sunday. So I'm trying to pull up a picture here. So anyway, I wore my lovely pink jacket because, one, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Day or a month in October, which is, means a lot to me. So this is what I wore here. That's what I got for you, right? Let me see if I can get that in there. There you go. Nice little pink jacket. Nice little black pants.
You look sharp.
Right?
You look sharp.
So I wasn't going to do this because, I'm not really this guy. I'm not really publicly petty, but I'm going to be publicly petty today. We got an email from a viewer that said that the subject line said that the subject line was actually that it was just tacky, which, by the way, thank you for telling your age by using the term tacky because we don't use that in 2024. But nonetheless. And then she went on to say that I was stand by here. I'm going to tell you exactly what she said. She said, and I quote, "The pink jacket on the gentleman anchoring the sports news was too much. One cannot pay attention to the news because they are more focused on the jacket." And I said that loudly because she put those in all caps, so she was yelling at me. "Be more professional, please." I just want to start off by saying there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that would make me want to log onto a website to hunt for an email address to comment on what somebody is wearing. Never mind the fact that it was obviously for the occasion. You know, everyone knows that breast cancer awareness is very important to me. She doesn't. You know, she's probably sitting at home in some dingy jeans and a stained T-shirt with holes in it. But that's not the point here. That's not the point here. The point is, Brent Martineau, what is wrong with people? I mean, the fact that you would actually have the audacity to pull something like this says more about you than me. Am I wrong here?
Yeah, listen, we get this a lot. We could do a segment called viewer, emails, right?
We should.
I mean, it's pretty amazing that we should. I've played some stuff in the past, like on the radio side, really more than this, but some of them are hilarious. And this one was interesting, of course, because it's very personal to you, and there's obviously bigger story behind it, and obviously Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I won't get into your personal stuff, but I actually did write her back. I didn't reply to the whole group, but I did write her back and explained that either way. So, that was pretty wild one because, I mean, listen, you're a fashion guy. I couldn't pull off what you wore, no doubt. Not everybody's going to like what everybody wears, right? Yeah, you've got – do you wear pink every day in October? Do you find you do? I wear pink because I know you always have like socks.
I wear pink every day of the year in some capacity. Typically, it'll come in the form of maybe even if it's just as bracelet, but I wear pink every day of the year. I haven't taken this actual band off in probably about, I think, maybe 6 years. But during the month of October, yes, I wear, from an attire standpoint, I wear something pink every day, whether it be T-shirt, socks, shoes, sweatshirt, hoodie, whatever, in any capacity. But yes.
That's good. Yeah, that's cool. It's cool that you do that. And yeah, so obviously I gave her a little bit of background, and I'm not sure. I haven't heard back from her, but yeah, we get some stuff. That's why you gotta be a little careful. You never know the story behind the story, and so you gotta be a little careful with your words and your comments and everything. It's a good life lesson. Probably all been caught doing that on occasion. So,
when was the last time you used the word tacky?
And, hey, yeah, it is kind of a mom word.
Grandmom.
Mom would say that. I don't think. Yeah, well, yeah, and my mom would now be like grandmom kind of age. She wouldn't like me to say that, but she is. She still thinks she's 29. But yeah, so that kind of grandmom age, right? 70s probably would make some sense.
For sure.
So anyway, you keep wearing it, man. You keep doing it. We appreciate you hanging out with us today. I know you got to go get a workout in. You build your day around this workout that you can't miss.
That's true. That's true.
You go pump some iron. Is today a leg day, an arm day, or a what day?
No, I don't do leg days on Wednesdays because everyone knows the day after, which is the second day after leg day, is always the worst. And with today being Wednesday, that would be Friday, which would be high school football. And the last thing I want to do is be walking around like I was physically assaulted on high school football sidelines.
Well, you were just verbally assaulted instead over the weekend. So you got that.
That's true. That's true. That's
maybe
true.
You get the double this week. So, yeah, we appreciate it. I know you guys talked a little bit. Here's the deal. I just came in from the field. I won't keep you long. You get out of here whenever you got to go. But just got off the field. Jags had it was a very energetic practice. I tweeted that earlier, and I thought that was significant. Listen, it's not fun around here. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's quiet. It's been quiet there. You're basically hunkered down in the same spot with the same folks, and they've got this whole hotel basically to themselves. So that, with the loss and the way they lost, and they're 1-5, like that's real. Like it's real. Like they're feeling it. And so to come out on Wednesday after, I think they had a little session yesterday, but they're off on Monday. And I thought today's practice was really energetic. You could feel it. And even when we were off the field after the first 20 minutes or so, you could hear it. And they kind of brought it. And I think that's a little bit of the message. Once again, we've done this before now. A few weeks ago, the message was like, kind of play like a kid, man. Play like that, why you love the game. And I think they're still trying to promote that and do that and kind of go back to that, hey, you get this opportunity. So don't get lost in the 1-5 nature of it, the disappointment. Go play the game so the best stuff comes out. And again, that's not for you, the fan, right? And I get the fans, whatever. And I'll tell you my whatever in just a moment on that same point. But I think that's what they have to do. I mean, they have to be on their own island here, and they got to, do what they do to kind of figure this out, because there's two options. You either just keep losing or you figure it out and you win. And it might be too late by the time they win if they do figure it out. But and right now that's okay. For them, they just got to figure it out and play good football. So it's not a miserable 2.5 months. It's already been a miserable first month and a half in Jacksonville and now here in London. What I would say now is basically some of what Andre Cisco said the other day, and not the headline thing. What he said is, I don't care. I mean, practice, that ain't a problem. Like, we practice well. Like, we bring it. We're attentive. Like, we're doing the work. Christian Kirk, we practice harder than anybody. Evan Ingram, hey, this is why this sucks so bad, because we do put the work in. Like, we ain't trying to cheat anything here. Like, we're putting the work. We know what work looks like. I've been around the league long enough. This is like if I'm Evan or Kirk talking, and we're doing it. And we're just not playing on Sundays. So Cisco ended up saying, like, hey, man, we got to do it on Sunday. And I kind of agree with him. Like, I'm to the point, too, where, like, I'm not getting excited about a practice. I'm just describing what it was like out there because I saw it and you didn't. But I don't think you can get excited about anything during the week right now in Jacksonville. Like, it's not about that. It's about going to play on Sunday and making plays and winning a football game at the end of the day, 3-2 or 30-28. Like, it doesn't matter. You've got to come out a winner, or it just doesn't matter. That being said, I know you guys talked about Andre Cisco a little bit. I'll tell you this because you won't hear this until later tonight, probably on CBS 47 and Fox 30. I talked to Tyson Campbell and I talked to Tank Bigsby. And we only talked to a few players after practice. And, of course, missed Trevor because I was at the same time. So it's just a lot going on at one time that we got to kind of pick our spots with all the shows that we have coming up. And I did ask Tyson, did ask Tank about the words. And it's been an interesting response, Marcel. Like, nothing that would even slightly hint at offended by the remarks. Now, Tank's a young player, and he's on the offensive side of the ball. That's different. Tyson, I guess you could say that he wasn't playing out there, so he wasn't saying it about him, but he knows what that's like. And he basically said, nah, man, it's no harm done. Like, no harm done whatsoever. And I know what's getting everybody's attention is what Doug said, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But what's more important than what Doug said is what the players are thinking and saying. Now, just because they said that to me in a couple of different interviews, that doesn't mean that's what it is. Like, we know that too. But I even saw Cisco here and kind of ran into him, accident, kind of like around the corner type thing. And I just said something like, "You good?" And like, he was fine. He was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, he knows what he said, right? And it feels like he stands by what he said, but it also doesn't feel like this team is impacted right now by what he said. So it's going to be an interesting deal, Marcel, on Sunday to see the response. If they come out and win, if they come out and play well, I feel like this storyline could do wonders for the Jags. Keep in mind what I said on Monday. This is going to be either good or it's going to be not so good. They needed somebody to shake this thing up. Andre Cisco shook it up. And if they come out and win Sunday, it's going to be a positive effect of what he said on Sunday. And it doesn't matter if that's why they won or if it was part of it. The bottom line is the story is going to be, hey, he shook it up and they responded. So here we are again on Wednesday. Can't wait till Sunday. And we'll see if we get our answer of really the ramification of what Andre Cisco said on Sunday. And we won't know until then.
Yeah, I think you said a lot of things that were, I think, spot on. I think the biggest one, like you said, is that, he should stand by what he said. I mean, everything he said just shows that he cares. I mean, how many times have we seen guys in this locker room after wins or losses like this just kind of be apathetic or just say the typical coach speak of it, we just got to go figure it out. We go out there and we got to watch the film, see what it looks like. Like, they know in game. Like, if you're especially a guy playing safety or really anybody, you can tell when a guy's not playing to their best of their ability because you've seen them play to the best of their ability in so many different occasions. And I have no problem with what Cisco said about, guys not giving full effort. As when me and Hamby were talking earlier, like that's how guys get hurt. Like he should be offended. Like if I'm out here giving full effort and you're out here half-assing it, like that's going to get me hurt, And I think, like you said, it's kind of a fork in the road. Like which way are we going to go? I don't think that we would ever know how the players actually felt about what he said. I think that's probably more of a closed locker room type of deal. But I think the players that are the most offended by what he said are probably the ones who he's talking about. Everybody on the team got to look themselves in the mirror and say, look, I didn't run my route crisp enough. I dropped passes. I missed a block. I didn't finish a play. I didn't finish a tackle. And we hear them talk about, looking themselves in the mirror and taking accountability all the time, but never to this degree. And I can also say without a shadow of a doubt, like not 100% because I'm not there, but Cisco ain't the only guy that feels that way. Like this is not just an off the wall comment. I'm sure this is something that he's probably discussed with other guys about things that other people aren't doing. So, and I think you're right. It's going to go one of two ways. Like this is the point right here. If it's either if they keep down this road, it's going to be like, well, they talked about it, back in week 6, this is what they said was happening and it continued to happen. Or you can, strap up, grab your bag, go to work and turn things around and change the narrative. Like right now they're at a point in time where they can take this and make it whatever they want it to be. And like you said, that starts on Sunday.
Yeah, and Marcel, we've seen this a little before, not in the context of this. This was louder than anything we've heard in quite some time, obviously, when you say something like that. And there's still people around here that wish he didn't say it, and Doug included, which we'll get to in a moment. But because, keep that inside. And I understand that part of it. But again, I'm a believer, not because he said it to us. I'm a believer that something needed to move here. Someone needed to shake the rock. And he shook the rock, and we'll see if it mattered, like if it does matter, if it makes a difference. But we've been here before a little bit because after the Cleveland game, Trevor Lawrence shook it up a little bit too with his words at a podium. And the next week they crapped the bed against the Buffalo Bills, right? I mean, they just is like, what are we doing? So that wasn't a good response. So there's two things here. The team needs to respond. But really the individual that makes the call, that is willing to do that, needs to respond. So Andre Cisco, he's got some responsibility now on Sunday, and it's not normal responsibility. He now has to deliver. And overall, I guess PFF said he played a good game. What if you believe all that stuff from a Jags perspective? He needs to go play a good game. He can't go give up a Drake May to whoever they even have in New England touchdown for 75 yards, right? Like he's got to play better football. And especially this week, he's got to play better football. And if that coincides, so what if it's against the New England Patriots? If that coincides with the Jags playing football and good football and winning a game, now you got something, because now you can turn it as a galvanizing type of thing. That I'm not going to say it's heroic, because they're still, even if they won, they'd be 2-5, but at least it would be a response. It would be something to rally around a little bit. But I'll tell you this, like they're not talking about it. They're not dismissing it. You never know when you ask these questions. Like I asked Tyson, again, who didn't play in that game. We were getting Tyson because he might play in this game. And then you ask a guy like Tank, and you even wonder, like, did you hear it, right? Did you see it? And how much of a bubble are you living in? Because some of these guys do live in a bubble where there was no hesitation. They had heard it, right? Yeah. They had seen it. They don't live in that kind of bubble. So everybody here has heard it and seen it and knows about it. And how they respond to it is going to be interesting. But again, I don't think this is that bad of a deal. And that's why I come back to the energy part. There are two reasons why you wouldn't have energy out there today. Well, one, you're 1-5 and you're stuck in London, right? Because here's the deal. London's fine when you're going good. London and away from home and away from your habits, and it's Wednesday and it feels like you've been here for 2 weeks, is not great when you're 1-5. It's just not as good. I mean, I was here last year when they won the first game. I mean, it's a totally different feel this week. It feels like it's been 2 weeks and we're only on Wednesday. And by the way, I'm fine. Like, it's cool here. Like I don't mind it. We're just working and we got a lot going on. We got the stadium stuff. We got like, I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you from their perspective, they're in a place and it's obviously foreign and it's not familiar and all of that stuff. So it's not as good when you lose. It's just not. The food doesn't taste as good. Although I will say the sun's out, so that's nice. But the fact that they came out with energy showed me, okay, they're creating their own energy, but they're also not a splintered group. This was a group with a lot of different, sections of that field and different units on that field that all were providing energy. And it's not like Andre Cisco was sitting in a corner by himself. You know what I mean? So I think there's some significance to today with them coming out with the energy to show me at least, and I'm not hearing it and it doesn't feel like it's bubbling, that this thing has kind of gone this way because of those words. And I'm not even convinced that it's gone this way because of the words. Like, we'll see. But at least it's not going this way because that would be a major problem. And we'll get a taste of it on Sunday again, right? Like that's the true test. Not Wednesday at practice, not in front of a microphone when we're doing an interview, the true test of how this stuff shakes out. And again, I think it's important to note Andre wasn't the only one that had big words. Trevor Lawrence did too. Doug Pederson did too, coming off that game. So how does this team respond, Marcel? And again, it's too little too late, most likely, but at least for a week, how they respond is going to be, well, just showcase how miserable the next couple of months are going to be, maybe, or if they can at least find a little bit of a spark.
Yeah, I think the spark is probably the way I would lean, but I think even bigger than that, man, just go out there and just prove that you are who you say you are. Like, you stand out here and you talk all these things about, like, we need to get better, we can play better than this, and we're not as bad as as it looks out there. Well, damn it, get out there and prove it. Like, even if you're a guy in the locker room that's like. And I like I said, I still believe that this is not like you just said, like, it's not this is dividing the locker room where people are upset about what Cisco said or whatever like that. But, at the end of the day, like, these guys have a lot of pride. If you feel like you're going out there playing your best and you hear a guy that says that, there are people that aren't doing it, well, damn it, go over out there and prove them wrong or prove them right. That's what's going to happen, right? I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, we can't keep doing the whole, like you said, Trevor said it, Doug said it, Cisco said it. At some point, this talk is just going to become talk, and if this happens in 2 more weeks, somebody else comes out and says, I felt like, we just as a whole, we got to do a better job of making plays. It's like, yeah, well, we know. Said it, we've seen it, you've seen it. At some point, you just got to go out there and play football and win games. Everyone says the same thing, that there's a common belief that this is one of the most talented Jaguars rosters that we've seen, in some maybe ever, some will say. But at the end of the day, like, the energy in practice is good. Bring it. It should be there for me. Like, you're saying that it's there. I'm glad it's there because it should be. That at least lets me know that they're doing something that they should be doing. But at the end of the day, how that energy translates to effort on Sunday is what I'm saying is the biggest, I guess, thing that's missing, right? Like, if you're going to go out there and lay an egg on Sunday, I don't give a damn if you practiced hard. Like, you don't win games. I mean, you win games in practice, but you don't, for the practicality reasons, you don't win the games in practice. Like, go out there and cool. We practiced hard today. That's cool. Like, well, show us. Be the better team that you say that you are.
Hey, I know you got to get out of here in a minute, so let's do this. So we got to hear from Doug Pederson. Hamby, do we have it? Because this is the other part of this, and I don't want to belabor the Cisco thing. That's not the intent here, but it's obviously a story, right? Mm-hmm. And it's pretty interesting that Doug said he hadn't talked to him Monday. We were surprised that he hadn't talked to him Monday. And then you come Wednesday, he's like, he still hasn't talked to him. Whoa. Like, that's like, what? Wait, is that because he's a former player and he kind of knows what this stuff is? Is that, well, let's hear from Doug and then talk about it, because I think people are bothered by that. I think there's a couple ways to look at that, but I wouldn't sit here and say I'm not surprised. Like, I'm stunned that he didn't pull him aside and talk to him. I just thought that would be kind of normal operating procedure. Here's Doug earlier today when asked about it.
Andre is obviously a really good leader on our football team, and Look, sometimes, and I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes, you say stuff out of just emotion, right? And it's hard to not say something, right? But I go back to what I said the other day. I just don't think he meant anything, demeaning by it. He's not pointing the finger at anybody. I mean, because he's in that boat as well, just like we all are. So I get the emotional side of it, but at the same time, I think we got to continue to, just press forward. And he obviously will learn from this, and his teammates will rally around him. They're not looking at him any different. They want him to perform and play, and that's what he'll do.
Did you speak to him, Doug?
I have not, and quite frankly, sometimes I don't feel like I need to in those situations. I just think the team and just give him a couple days to process, and he was much better again today.
So, was that you saying lies or something in the background there? Like, is that what you said?
Yep. Come on, man.
So, you think he's talked to him?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
But why wouldn't he say it? I mean, what's there to hide?
Me and Hammy talked about this earlier today. I think, Doug is a player's coach, right? And every player says that. I love that. Cool. Like, I love all about protecting the players. But there's so many things he said in there that were, putting the wall up, reestablishing the boundaries, of kind of keeping in-house, right? Keeping the cuckoo in the clock. Like, I don't think there's a chance that he hasn't spoken to them. And again, me and Hammy talked about this earlier today. Like, I'm not here to question anybody's integrity. I wasn't there. I can't say he's lying, so I won't say that he is. But I find it incredibly hard to believe that something like this can happen. Like, he can come out and say something like this. And two things. One, if you haven't talked to him, then, why the hell not? Like, he's a leader on your team. He's one of, the guys on your team. At some point, at least check the temperature. Like, hey, I heard what you said. Like, well, how are you feeling? Like, this is a guy that just came out and essentially said that the gameplay is dangerous because someone else is giving half effort. And so he's worried about himself. Like, at the very least, check the temperature about, hey, how you feeling? Right? Like, I heard what you said. Like, it's cool. Like what's going on? Like, just talk to me about where you are. Right? If anything. So yeah, I think if he hasn't said anything, that's the alarming part. But I think you have to, for me to sit here and believe, it's incredibly hard to believe that he hasn't said anything to him. And honestly, if he did, and he's protecting him by saying that he didn't, then I have no problem with that. But there's a lot of things he said in there, like he's, speaking out of emotion, right? Or, he'll learn from this and things like that. Like, these are things that you say after you tried to figure out why somebody said something, or just, I don't know. It just doesn't sound, I don't want to say truthful, but I just find it hard to believe that he hasn't. And if he actually hasn't, then that's concerning to me.
Well, there's a lot. Okay, listen, I wondered that too. I was like, well, maybe he did. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so, though. I in this case, I don't think there's nothing to protect here. Like, you could easily just say, yeah, I talked to him, and then still say everything else that he said. So I don't see why he couldn't say it. Now, he does his best to protect the players. He probably didn't want to get anywhere close to calling, Andre Cisco out or anything like that.
No problem with
what I found interesting is he said, hey, listen, I've been in the spot too, where I've been emotional, and I've said some things that you kind of want back. And I'm like, well, that seems like he's talking about 3 weeks ago after the Houston game, where he kind of got headlined, right, for what appeared to be him throwing players under the bus. And it doesn't feel like players took it that way, right? We came out of there, and there was a report that Tuesday had lost a locker room and everything else, and then they go win a game against Indianapolis, and everything like that storyline got flushed under the rug. Like, I never really thought he lost the locker room. I made that case during that week, even before the Indy win. And not to say I'm completely right. I just didn't buy it. And then they came out and won. And the reason why I said that is because Doug, I think, as a former player, and the way he operates, I believe, and this is a little bit of guessing because I'm not in these meetings and rooms, is he's transparent. I think he's transparent. I think he ended up coming out on that Monday after the Houston game and saying, hey, listen, I'm going to have my coaches back and my players back. But I'm also going to hold them accountable. And I think that goes back to the Miami game with the whole Ryan Nielsen stuff. I think it goes back to the Houston game with the appeared like he was throwing the players under the bus. I think he doesn't have a problem doing some of those things because he's been upfront with the players to say, listen, you might even hear about this in the media. I might get up after and say, but I'm going to hold you accountable. I still love you, right? And if he's transparent with that, then it's okay. And that's my perception of what went on, because I don't think he did lose the room. And even though there was a report that he did, they come back and they win. Now you get to this stage and he's like, okay, well, we all say some stuff that gets headlines, even though we can still be like behind closed doors. I love you. And I got your back and I'm going to hold you accountable. So was that what Andre Cisco did? Is that how he viewed what Andre Cisco did, is holding guys accountable? We don't usually hear it like that. See, that's the problem. That was such a loud headline because guys don't say that. That's a no-no. Like, even if you see it, you don't usually say it, and you don't want to see it in a football team, especially that's now 1-5 and got their doors blown off by the second half of the Chicago Bears. So there's a lot going on there. But I think there's a little bit to his relating to the Andre Cisco stuff from just even a couple of weeks ago, or even the Nielsen stuff from after the Miami game. And again, I'm just wondering if that's the case. But I would say this about what Doug was saying about emotions. And I understand emotions continue after a football game, probably for a long time. I would assume it's tough to sleep at night for some of those guys and everything else. Heck, I know they exist for people that listen to our show and watch our show even on Mondays. So the emotions are on high, right? Some 24 hours later. But I'll say this about what Andre Cisco did, Marcel. There wasn't a lot of emotion there. Like, there wasn't like, the one thing about that interview that he did with me on Sunday is it was measured. It was not in a I'm out of my mind that we're losing rage. It was nothing. It was very measured. I'm not telling you it was calculated. It was just measured. It was not emotional. Now, maybe he doesn't, that's his sign of emotion. But I mean, that was not a guy. We've done a lot of interviews over the years, and you get guys that are emotional. Calvin Ridley, to me, what he did in the locker room Sunday after Tennessee was emotional. Like, that's an emotional, I'm pissed off, throw me the damn ball, this guy sucks at QB, this offensive system sucks. Like, that's emotion. I didn't necessarily sense that with Cisco and what he said. So I think that's probably where I would, if I was Doug, want to talk to him about it. Because first of all, I didn't provoke him in that interview at all. And then secondly, he was not emotional in that interview. He had gotten fully dressed. He had taken his time. And he even said right before he said it, like, how should I say this?
Yep.
That's where, if I'm Doug, I'm like, wait a minute now. This one wasn't like just flying off the cuff and swearing and doing all this, what we see from guys. This was a little bit different. And that's why I'm surprised Doug the most hasn't talked to him yet about it, or at least hasn't told us that he talked to him about it.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point. Like you just said, it didn't seem like this was just kind of like a, brain-to-mouth response from Cisco. Like you said, he took a second to kind of gather his thoughts. And even after gathering his thoughts, thinking of all the different ways, kind of thinking through it, the word he came to was quit. Like, when I heard that from Cisco, I didn't hear a guy that was, just flying off the handle because they lost another game. Like, that sounded like a guy who was talking about something that he'd been seeing for an extended period of time, not just in one game, right? And like you said, Doug, as a former player, relates to the players, which further, speaks to my concern is like, as a former player, I've never played in the NFL. I've played sports, but never played in the NFL. Like, as a player, I mean, Doug played quarterback. Like, he knows what it looks like when a guy quits and how detrimental it can be to a unit, a team, a locker room, an organization, period. It can be, contagious. So, like, if you hear that from a guy, the way he said it, like you said, it wasn't out of emotion. It was a very, just straight up response. Why wouldn't you go ask a guy that? Because like I said, it can be contagious. Like, if you truly think, honestly, both ways, if you thought he was just speaking out of an emotion, don't brush it off. Go make sure and double check, because, that turns into apathy. Apathy turns into a lot of things. But the fact that Doug can relate so much, like for me, I don't care if he's lying to us and saying he hasn't talked to him. I don't care one or the other. If he's talked to him, he hasn't talked to him, whatever. Like, don't tell us, fine. But at the end of the day, I just feel like if, as a player's coach, you've always talked about protecting the players. You've always talked about putting the players first and keeping all of that stuff in-house. You have to talk to a guy like Cisco about why he said it. Not to like bring him into the principal's office, but you got to ask him what you're saying that guys out here are quitting. I don't see that. You're on the field. You see these things happening in real time. Like, you got to tell me what you're seeing, because if you're seeing a guy that's not giving full effort and I see him as possibly giving full effort, we're seeing two different things, and that's a problem we got to address.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Marcel, too, because I think, like, Doug said this post-game, or was it Monday? Maybe it was Monday, where he said something to the effect of, like, listen, we've done that to other teams, too, where it looks like they kind of just they're kind of done, right? But the interesting part of Cisco's comments were basically because he said this happened early. If you go back and listen to those comments, it was like it happened early. Almost like, yeah, you do see it sometimes in the fourth quarter where you're out of a game and guys just take a play off or something like that. And they might not be going 110. And like, you kind of get it. And I think that's what Doug was referring to. But if you really look at what Cisco said, he's like, it happened early, like right after halftime. Like that part of the quote was very telling. That's why it looked different to Cisco. Listen, guys take plays off. Like, that's a thing. Like, you can be an all-pro. You can be Pro Bowlers. Guys that's why people talk about motors when the draft and stuff like that, because like, hey, I love the guy that doesn't take a play off. You know why they love the guy that doesn't take a play off? Because guys do take plays off, right? Like, so that just does happen. But I think it's that context that's pretty interesting to see. Now, here's the defense of Doug. Doug, I think, usually has a good grip of this locker room and feel for it. And he obviously doesn't think this is penetrated, or through the leadership council say, hey, don't worry about it, or whoever else, because he talks to his leaders of the football team, captains and others, and he must not have thought that this thing was that big a deal to them to maybe make it a big deal to Andre. That's going to be my explanation for Doug at why he hasn't talked to him. And I'm not telling you should like it, but I'm just saying, if he doesn't feel like it's a thing, even though on the outside it is kind of a thing, or it was a thing, if he doesn't feel like internally it's a thing, then there's no reason to bring it up. So that would be my defense against him. I still think it's odd that he hadn't or didn't, but I just think it hasn't penetrated this building, or it didn't look like it did on the practice field, or the guys that I asked about today, they didn't say it did either. So if you compile all that, hey, internally, it's not that big a deal. Like, it was such a big deal on Sunday, Monday, that it's hard to believe it's not a big deal, but maybe it isn't, and maybe I'm being naive here. I'm just trying to figure out why he wouldn't have talked to him. And maybe this locker room is still pretty strong in that sense, so he didn't feel like he had to. Hey, let's do this. Let's get you out of here. We appreciate you being here. And let's also take a break because we're way late. So I know you'll have more with us later tomorrow as well. You're jumping in here again with Hamby, so appreciate it, Marcel. Go get a good workout in, and get one in for me too, because I have not worked out yet, and I've been in this hotel like almost every hour.
Come on.
I really need to find one though. I keep saying I'm going to, I just don't. All right, we got a whole lineup today. I tweeted it out, and you can see it, what we do each and every week. All the shows are back. Get those hurricanes away. Programming is now what it should be here in the week of the middle of October. Let's take a time out. We'll be back. Brent and Austen show. Austen not going to join us today. He's in Las Vegas, but he's got stuff going on with the fight coming up on Saturday. So Jason Hamby will join me. We'll hear from Tyson Campbell potentially, also from Tank Bigsby, maybe even Anton Harrison, as we have some of that from after practice today, still on the way. And I do want to set the table for you and set the scene a little bit about what it was like here in London when the stadium deal went through, as I was in the room with Shad Khan and Mark Lamping and Mayor Donna Deegan as well. Obviously a significant thing that happened in the city of Jacksonville and for the Jaguars. All on the way here on a Wednesday on the Brent and Austen Show. It's a new logo, new branding with Bold City Heating and Air. It's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville.
It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bolt City Heating and Air.
It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bolt City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoltCityAC.com.
Stay cool while it gets hot. Bolt City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. BoltCityAC.com. And they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs.
Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bolt City Heating and Air at BoltCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot, any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
The best stories sometimes come after the game. Join us for in-depth conversations with local coaches Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 p.m., including our latest guest on the program.
So I had a parent meeting year 2 and told the parents, look, I know there's 15 of us. There'll be more that will come. The younger ones will come up and they'll be fine. And, we'll win state championships. And when I tell you they laughed at me to the point of tears, I'm not exaggerating.
Catch up on the chats you missed by watching the After the Game playlist on our Action Sports Jacks YouTube page. When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access.
Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence.
You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays, here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Here's a look at Jaguars practice. Darnell Savage grabbing a pick. You know, I was videoing, and I missed, like, right before that, there was a really good interception. I forget who it was, and I missed it. And then I stopped videoing, and then there was another really nice, like, one-handed play by somebody. So I missed, like, both ends of the really good stuff. My eyes caught it. The camera did not. There's Trevor Lawrence, Parker Washington. Jaguars getting in some work here in the at the Grove. And this is where they're staying all week. This is where the practice basically starts the new week, right? Wednesday usually does. They flip their off days a little bit, Monday and Tuesday, but very light yesterday. And now they are back on the practice field. I'll tell you what, a couple of things coming out of this, and let's put the Andre Cisco stuff to bed for now and talk about some other things as Brent Martineau here in London, Jason Hamby back in the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network studios. The weather is unbelievable today. I mean, it's like at one time we were doing a live shot. Actually, you were on helping with the morning show, Hamby, and at 7 a.m. Eastern time in Jacksonville, it's noon here. It was 65 degrees here with the sun out, and it was 60 degrees back home in Jacksonville. Now, I think Jacksonville's jumped up to like 69 or 70, but I mean, 65 degrees here. I looked outside. It was a little dreary and rainy this morning, so I go and put like a sweatshirt on and then my like bigger jacket. I actually took a hat with me too. I'm like, it must be freezing out there. I get out there, it's like it's warmer than Jacksonville. So what are we doing? I had to come back in and change. So I had two different outfits on today for our 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the morning hits back there live on Action News Jax. I mean, look, hey, Hamby, this is called fall. I'm not sure if you've ever seen this before, but that's fall. That's what happens in some parts of the world, not Jacksonville. But leaves come falling down the trees and they change colors, and then you have to rake them up and you put them in a pile and you go jump at them as a kid. Have you ever experienced fall?
Only when I've gone up to the mountains for quick getaways in November, October, November, and also only when I've gone up to Athens in late October for games. Those are the only times. Otherwise, I've been fallless. Looks like we might have lost Brent, but that's no problem because look, we got a lot of sound to get to, and a lot of guys that they've been talking to over there about the current state of the team and how we can move forward. And one guy that we're going to hear from right now is somebody that the Jags have missed. And have missed sorely these last couple weeks, and that is Tyson Campbell. And we're going to get that loaded right here, and we're going to hear from Tyson Campbell. Here we go.
The real question is Tyson Campbell good? It sounds like you're getting better. How do you feel?
I'm feeling good, man. Just trusting the process, taking it one day at a time, and, you know, living with the results at the end of the week.
How hard is that process?
Getting back, you know, at first it was tough, but, you know, thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I put my faith in Him and just, you know, put all my worries and gave all my problems to Him and just control what I control, attack my rehab, and, you know, took it one day at a time.
What do you have to see this week to maybe feel like you can go?
Just keep getting reps and just listening to my body, and then that'll really give me the decision.
In a weird way, could it help when you get back? I mean, you'll be pretty fresh.
Mm-hmm. I think so, man. Just to give the defense, give the team some more juice, you know, bring some excitement, you know, make some plays out there. So.
Yeah, and by the way, there was a lot of energy out there. Speaking of juice, and how much do you guys have to create that right now in the spot that you're in?
Yeah, I mean, I tell the guys a lot, like, joy's a choice. You know, ain't no need to, you know, sag your head down. Or we have a new week, so we have a new opportunity to get better and have a chance to be 1-0 at the end of the week. So that was the emphasis this week. Just, you know, this is still a lot to be grateful for. You know, this game is not played forever, so we just enjoyed ourselves today.
Roy obviously gets traded away. You played with him for a few years. Is it always stunning? It's just part of the business of the league, but always stunning. You wake up the next day and the guy's not here.
Yeah, that's the part of the business that sucks. But, you know, I know he's going to do great things in Seattle. You know, has a beautiful family. That's my brother for life, so I'm always going to keep in touch with him. Very unfortunate, but, I think I got a plan for him.
From your perspective, Andre's words on Sunday, how have they resonated with the football team?
We didn't see a problem with that at all. We just got to put our hard hats on, and everybody, we need all 11 on the field, on each unit, giving it their all, and that's how you win football games. So, I don't think nobody took it personally.
Win changes everything in the National Football League. You guys still feel like you can salvage this thing despite the bad start?
Yeah, of course. But of course, it's going to take 1 week at a time. Like I said, it's a new week, so a new opportunity. And we have an opportunity to be 1-0 this week, and that's the goal. But the only way we're going to fix this thing is just getting one at a time.
One last one for you. Drake May, obviously just making a second start for the Patriots. If you do get out there, a lot of challenges for a young quarterback, right? I mean, you obviously want to present a lot of challenges. What have you seen from him on tape?
A quarterback that's can extend plays with his legs and his arms. Bright future. That's pretty much.
I love that response. I mean, it's a tough one. Obviously, I haven't seen a lot of Drake May, but I just think Tyson Campbell knows, right? This is a defense that knows you're playing a rookie quarterback, and it feels a little bit different than a rookie quarterback like Caleb Williams. Williams now was playing with some momentum. He's obviously got a ton of talent around him, and they've got a good defense around him. And New England, totally different situation. I'm not sitting here to disrespect Drake May, and who knows, maybe he comes out and plays really well. But it's tough to be a rookie quarterback in the NFL. I mean, you want a spot to get right for the Jags. Indianapolis was that. It's like the perfect remedy. Well, so is a rookie quarterback with the New England Patriots, not a good football team, and the rookie playing. I mean, that's a good situation for this football team, this defense that's been reeling, and it's a better situation if Tyson Campbell comes back. Man, I'm rooting for this guy. He's a good dude, and I just can't get over how much he put on, like 10 pounds. He said he's up to like 201. We were talking about it before the interview. He looks so much more physical, and he's already a physical player. I was actually telling him about the story where Dan Arnold told us a couple of years ago that he's the best tackling corner he's seen. That was Dan Arnold said that. And he's a willing tackler, and he's a good tackler. And he says he feels great at 201, speed-wise, physicality-wise. And I think he will be fresh. So, like, if he plays, you expect a good game, and he could really provide a spark. Now, the question is, will he play? We just don't know. We think that he can get back by Sunday, at least from kind of reading the tea leaves, but you really don't know until Thursday, Friday, Saturday take place. And before I was talking about the leaves, Hamby, and then got cut off. Nice job getting the Tyson Campbell interview. And by the way, the internet here, for some reason, it's been good, but it looks a little sketchy today. So bear with us if we do pop in and out. I thought the one thing about practice today to keep an eye on here, and this isn't good for guys with hamstring injuries, and I'm not sounding an alarm, all right? Don't run with this as panic. But it's been like wet and drizzly and some rain, normal kind of London weather. It's a slick field out there. Like, we saw multiple players slipping on that practice field. And you kind of wonder if Doug almost reels it. He's had to see that too. And he reels the practice in a little bit. You don't want to lose guys. I always say it's frustrating to lose guys on the practice field. Evan Ingram, when he went down in warmups, like, this is a violent game. You're going to lose players in the violent nature of the sport on Sundays in those 60, 65, 70 plays. But you really don't want to lose them in practice, I mean, and so I just think they've got to be a little careful. That I'm not saying it's a bad field. Again, not being not a lot of drama here. It's just my observation was, and even Stewart saw it. It's like, man, a lot of guys are slipping. And so will they kind of reel things in, how they do some stuff? You got to be careful out there. And specifically with guys that are coming back, like Tyson Campbell. So hopefully he too learned from last year where he doesn't come back too early and they make the right move there. That's why you kind of wonder if he will play this week, because if they can kind of feel like they're okay and can stretch it another week against the Packers, they'd want him to be there. By the way, Packers news, Brendan McManus is going to end up back in Jacksonville, looks like, in a couple of weeks, because the Packers just signed him as a kicker to their roster. Some other news from today, Tayshaun Gibson, you saw that report, I think, from Tom Pelissero earlier in the week. He's due to come off the suspension list, but he didn't, and he hasn't. And the Jags still haven't heard. And they don't know when they'll hear. There's not a lot of communication there from the league to the teams and even to the players. Just like, well, you are, you aren't. I just saw Tayshaun Gibson here in the team hotel just a short time ago, but there's nothing like you're going to be like, hey, yeah, well, this is why, or this is it. Like, it doesn't sound like there's any of that. We just don't know. But somebody did bring up that Zay Jones, I guess, went an extra week versus his initial suspension. Might have gone 5 games when it was due for 4. And I don't know that, but somebody said that. So maybe the league's extending some of these for whatever reasons going on. So that's it on Tyson. That's it on Gibson. We obviously know the Cisco stuff. And am I missing anybody injury-wise or news? The Roy Robertson-Harris trade. I mean, that's the Doug part of the Roy Robertson-Harris trade was depth. And, I got a lot of comments when I said that on social media and you're shaking your head from a depth standpoint, but like I wasn't alarmed by that comment, Hamby. Like I get what he's saying there.
Well,
what he means by depth, I think, is depth, young depth, right?
Right. But the first part that Marcel and I both took an issue to is the fact that he pointed out that it was a need for the Seahawks. Like we don't give a damn if it's a need for the Seahawks. Like the fact that he mentioned that, I know it's not. There's nothing there. It's not like they went out and saw that they were trying to help the Seahawks, but it's just weird that that was even mentioned. I don't really know what to make of that.
Well, let me jump in real quick though. I think isn't it in a way transparency of saying this is how it works, right? We're getting closer to the deadline. We're 1-5. They're, I think, 3-3, right in the thick of their race. They're tied for first place. I think it is in the NFC West. Like they have need, and that's the way this business works sometimes, right?
Yeah, I get it. But I get it. At the same time, you have a need. You have not had great interior D line play. Your need is interior D line. You have not had good play all season long. So to say that the Seahawks had a need, hey, Doug, you have a need. You have not played well on not one single position group on the defense could stand and look anybody in the face and say they've played well. That especially the interior D line. And I get that Marcel and I talked about it earlier that it's not a stat pad. You're not going to hear their names a lot, but you saw Roy make plays. A couple of plays that changed the game, like legitimately helped you win. And you cannot say the same thing about the rookies, Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson. And we get it. They get a pass. That's fine. We're not expecting them to do a bunch. But you got to keep the guys right now that are making plays and at least just give us a better reasoning.
Yeah, that's an interesting take.
We might have had Brent go again, and there he goes. I got this one. This one has actually gotten to me. It has, and I can't help it because when you're this bad, and you finally have a few guys who have made plays, you at least got to keep those guys. I mean, legitimately, Roy Robertson-Harris has been a bright spot. Now, is it a reach for me to say that? Maybe it's a little bit of a reach, but based off of the conversations that we were having preseason about is Roy done, that was the conversation on the fan base because we were talking about why he's playing a lot of extra snaps preseason, right? Why he's playing deep into the game. Is he still have it? Can he still provide what the money says in his contract for this football team? Well, relative to that conversation, he's been a pleasant surprise. I don't know about really compared to the nitty-gritty down to his contract, but he's made enough plays. And again, what about the fact that Mason Smith didn't even play week 2? He just was inactive.
Yeah.
And now his name is coming up in a reason of why, because he's a depth piece. Like that is where it does not add up.
Yeah, listen, again, I think I got cut off a little bit there as we go bounce out in and out, but I get it. Listen, I think that's a good case. You guys, you can make that case. I just also think this is a business. You have to, this is like a guy that's playing well for you, right? And by the way, I'm not saying he's playing well. I'm just talking about this is a guy that's played well for you, but he might contractually or age-wise or whatever else, you move on from him at the end of the season. Those are the decisions that have to be made. The Jaguars are just making this before the trade deadline. They're basically saying that, like, there's a really good chance Roy Robertson-Harris is not a part of this thing after this year. Well, we're going to get something in return for him. I mean, that's what the trade deadline is. Like, we know what that is. And so I mean, first of all,
Doug's not going to say on a podium what everything is. This might have been purely, let's save some cash. We don't care about the dead money. Let's move them on. It might even be, hey, lock one of the guys. He might have been one of the guys, wasn't in whatever it was. But the bottom line is he's not going to say that at a podium, and tell you exactly why they traded him. But I do think there's some logic in why they did. I know it's going in and out here. Hamby, let's get to a break. We got to get to one anyway, and we'll come back with more on the Jags, of course, and we'll hear from some other players, too, on a really nice day here in London, England. Wish the internet would work as well as, the leaves dropping from trees is working, and the leaves changing colors is working. We'll be back on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder-grade materials. And there's more, and for that, we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game, too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts. Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jacks and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning. And mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jag Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. For a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game. But with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
If you don't see a pit it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Let's look at the Grove Hotel here in London, England. That's where the team is staying. That's where we're staying with the team. And this is from a little bit earlier in the week, but really nice place. They have a nice golf course here, by the way. I don't know if I'll play it. It's pretty expensive to play it and rent the clubs. So not really sure I'm willing to do that, given probably the state of my golf game. Although it looks so appetizing. Like I can see the holes out my window here. Good spot, good stay. And we've been kind of in this hotel quite a bit. We actually went to another hotel in central London last night, and we did on Saturday as well. Only two places really I've been. That one hotel to do interviews with Shad Khan, and this hotel. Like that's all we've done so far. Maybe we'll get into London like Friday or Saturday, maybe, but I'm not even sure. And we've been there before, fortunately for us. But I know, Hamby, you know how this goes. Everybody back there thinks it's a vacation. Hope you had fun in London. Just walking the streets of London, all that kind of stuff. It's like I can't get out of the damn hotel room to even go get a workout in. We got so much stuff going on here these last couple of days. It's crazy how busy it's been. I mean, I said this the other day. The Jags are, they're, I don't know if it's fun necessarily. I wouldn't say that, but they're not boring to cover right now between the stadium, the sound bites, the really just not delivering on expectations. There's a lot here in Jacksonville, and it feels – I've covered a lot of Jags teams. This feels like a different beast right now, what we're covering. We haven't had – it even feels different, I think, in 2018. And the reason why it feels different than 2018 is because you remember they got off to a 3-1 start. So, like, the hype got rolling, and I still believe that people don't give enough credence to the fact that they got decimated by injuries in 2018, along with some other stuff. They didn't play good football, but they got decimated by injuries, much like the Jags did last year at the end of the year. Still not a good enough reason why they didn't make the playoffs and win one more football game. But the bottom line is they did have a lot of injuries during that stretch. We don't like to remember that stuff, or at least allow that to even enter our minds. And quite frankly, they don't either. But that's the reality of it. So this year is close to 2018 in terms of not living up to the expectations in totality. But it's totally different at how it's been kind of manifested here through the first 6 weeks of the season. They were 3-1 in 2018. They had thumped the Patriots and I think even thumped the Jets. They at least beat them at home. I don't know if they thumped them or not. I can't remember, but they were 3-1. And then they lost 9 in a row. So this is totally different to have a team with this kind of expectation and off to a 1-5 start. It's been here 16 years. I'm yet to cover a season that's unfolding the way this is unfolded. And then in the middle of all that, you've got the stadium deal, which is obviously fantastic news, but everybody right now is like, what the heck, on just the Jags. So you got to separate those two stories. I actually did I felt like it was a good response yesterday once the vote went through, that I thought people were still pretty excited about it. I know going into it, people were like, yeah, whatever. Like, let's not even worry about the stadium. They can't win games. Fire everybody. And then when the stadium deal went through, I thought Jacksonville felt, at least social media-wise, response-wise, that people were excited about what had just transpired. And you should be, by the way. The only thing worse than a bad football team is no football team. So, like, at least we can get pissed at the Jags for the next 30 years if nothing good comes about it. But I think over 30 years, we're going to see some good stuff. Like, we're bought ourselves some time.
Now, if you don't have 30 years, I'm sorry. But Hamby, you got plenty of time. So I think I have 30 years. I don't know. I mean, I might not have 30 years. We'll see. I'm kind of up against that. But if you can make it 30 years, I think we're going to see something pretty good at some point in that 30-year stretch. But anyway, that kind of, we'll get to the stadium talk a little bit more in just a little bit. Some stuff going around the NFL. Hey, Hamby, we knew this already, but part of those owners' meetings was Tom Brady and the Raiders' approval stuff. And if people didn't see this when it came out a few weeks back, which he hasn't been able to do any of this stuff, by the way, all year, but there are particular demands on his broadcasting gig, which he's getting paid like $37 million a year. But he's not able to do all the things that you would do as a broadcaster in his role. I mean, so look what he can't do. Not permitted to be in another team's facility. Kind of makes sense. Not permitted to witness practice. Like, and I don't know if you need to see practice, but a lot of the broadcasting crews that end up in a place like a day or two before, they like to see practice. They'll see a play that they're working on, or one that they might pull out, a trick play here or there. And Tom would probably notice a whole bunch more than the rest of us would notice at a practice. Not permitted to attend broadcast production meetings. I think that's a big one, because that's where you do get a lot of information. You get insight. Like the Jags this week, whoever they're meeting with, I guess it's probably Eisen and them again. They're going to be asking about the Andre Cisco stuff. Like you're going to get intel on that. You're going to get intel on what this week was like. Did it splinter the locker room? Why you traded Roy Robertson-Harris? Like all that stuff, that doesn't come out on the podium usually as much as it comes out in one of those production meetings. And then those guys get to use some of that as either background information or actually say something on the air. And so he's not going to have that. And let's just say this, he's a young broadcaster. He's a green broadcaster. He hasn't done it. Like that is valuable information, I think, even for him, who's really just diagnosing the play that is going on the field. I think that perception, though, and that perspective and that background information is really important, and he's not going to be able to do it. Prohibited from publicly criticizing game officials and other clubs.
It's a big one.
I mean, listen, gambling and the tampering, all that other stuff. So basically we're saying that Tom Brady, when you listen to him, don't worry, he's not going to be critical of the Dallas Cowboys when Dak throws a pick. Or is that more just, is that play okay? Or is like, you can't say Jerry Jones runs an awful organization. Like, I don't know where the cutoff is there. Like, is there gray area? Going to be fascinating to kind of see if he like bends the rules or if anybody catches him on the rules.
Yeah.
Wild. And hey, Hamby, here's the deal. We said this, I think, from like months ago when this came out or weeks ago, whatever it is. And this is going to become more popular. Like, you don't think, I don't know if Jason Kelce has enough money, but Taylor Swift does. So you don't think, like, they get married. You don't think Jason Kelce, Travis Kelce, when he's done in a couple of years, isn't going to like own 2% of some NFL team? Absolutely. And he also might be in the broadcast booth. So like this is going to become more commonplace with the amount of money that these guys have made, the stars have made. Peyton Manning could already be doing it. Maybe that's one of the reasons he's not doing it, because he wants to be able to do the other stuff. So it's going to be real fascinating, this blueprint of sorts for Tom Brady. And I'm not telling you that 15 guys are going to be like this, but you see in the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see 2, 3, 4, 5 other guys, I guarantee you, do what Brady's doing. Broadcasting and also owning. I don't think it's going to be I don't think he's going to be the lone duck here. I think this is going to be a new thing.
I think Mahomes will be doing it. I don't know about announcing, but I mean, for the owning thing, he's one of the guys that will have had or will have made enough money to do it. Obviously already minority owner of the Royals. But he could be a guy that does it, maybe not in 5 years, but later down the line. I'd like to hear him in the booth. I don't know about his voice, actually. I take that back. Yeah, save that for somebody else. Not a fan. But yeah, I think Peyton Manning is a good call. He could be a guy that could already be doing it. Maybe Eli eventually, but I don't see. I would love to just for Brady to ask what the big draw is, because I think he's got 5% ownership, and I'm sure he doesn't really care about sacrificing a lot of those restrictions that we both named. But I'm just wondering exactly, and it's easy for me to say, like as a brokey, oh, what's the big deal owning 5% of an NFL team? It's probably like an unbelievable thing. But I'm just from his perspective, somebody who's already done it all as a player, what the best part or the biggest draw is about owning 5% of a club. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think some of it probably has to do with, it's unique, right? I mean, a little bit of a like pioneer in that sense, and you can do it. And again, this is a new age where athletes in all sports are making just incredible amounts of money, where they become very powerful and can do things that athletes back in the day, even 10 years ago, probably couldn't do. So Brady's going to be able to do a lot of those things. Brent Martineau, Jason Hamby, Brent and Austen show again. Just a reminder, Austen, he's got his fight coming up Saturday. So he's out in Las Vegas. He's been popping in each and every day, but not today. He's got a pretty busy day, so he's not going to do it today. And we'll hopefully visit with him a little bit tomorrow. And I'm guessing he won't be with us Friday because then he's close to the fight. We probably want to give him that day to get his headspace right and be ready to rock and roll for a huge fight that he's got coming up on Saturday night. So we continue to talk about the Jags. If you're just jumping in, we talked already a lot about Andre Cisco and the Doug Pederson comments. Tyson Campbell, we just played his interview, does not have a problem with the Andre Cisco stuff. It doesn't feel like the team does, quite frankly. Tayshaun Gibson suspension, no new information there. What was the other thing? What else? I guess that's about it. Tyson Campbell, we'll see if he plays this week. That's part of the story. The Jags had practice here today. It was very energetic. So if you missed any of that in the first couple of hours, you always go back and watch on the Action Sports Jacks podcast, or listen, on the podcast, or watch on our YouTube channel as well, any of the social media. And of course, it replays later tonight on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Another NFL story, just real quick. I know you guys talked about the trade stuff with the Jets and the Bills, so I'm not going to touch on that. But what a tricky situation in Pittsburgh. 4-2 football team. You brought Russell Wilson here. You basically gave him a captaincy, and you also promised him, my guess is that he'd be the starter. Well, then he has an injury, and then Justin Fields, who we think is very capable, maybe even more capable than Russell Wilson. I say we, at least I think that way, and I think a lot of football does, and was curious which guy would get that job. He turns in a 4-2 record with the Steelers, and now it looks like Tomlin and the Steelers are going to go back to Russell Wilson because now he's healthy. And I shouldn't say back to, really debut in a Pittsburgh uniform 6 games into this thing. This is an interesting one to watch. Now, if there's someone that can pull it off, it's Tomlin, it seems like. Tomlin's been able to get away from those kind of things and handle that noise and keep the teams together. Like, he feels like he's very good at that. But it's a dangerous situation, I think, a dangerous decision looming in Pittsburgh. And could be a good one, too, if Russell Wilson plays well. But I think this one's one to watch, Hamby, because I'm not really sure how good Pittsburgh is to begin with, but they found a way with Fields to win 4 games is the bottom line.
Right. Yeah, I think it's probably a lose-lose for Tomlin in this case. I don't think he can gain a whole lot. Russ Wilson starting him over Justin Fields, but I think it's something that he has to do because they brought him in here because they thought he could still play, and they thought when they brought both guys in that Russell Wilson was better. So they have to test the theory. Plain and simple, they have to test the theory. Yeah. If nothing else, then Tomlin as a head football coach or / the general manager, whoever was the biggest guy in going after Russell Wilson, has to see if they were right. I mean, that's an insatiable thing where you brought a guy in because you thought he was the best guy of the two. As soon as he's healthy, you got to get him in there. Like, there's really not an option. I don't think really that you can continue playing Fields. I mean, I would get it if other coaches would do it, but I get why 100% why. Okay, Russell, we told you were the guy. We believed you were the guy. And as soon as you get back healthy, it's not a QB competition. You're in until otherwise. Now, my biggest question is how big is the leash? Like, if he goes and loses his first 2 football games, is Fields right back in there? Because it's very possible. Yeah, Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say it's very possible that Russell could come back and I forget who they're playing week 2 in the second week. But it's very possible that maybe they lose these first 2 with Russell and they're 4-4, and then what do you do? Like, I think you gotta you gotta move.
I think you're right. Like, here's the deal. When you make like maybe he doesn't think this is a decision, but it looks like a decision. So you got to make this decision. When you make one decision, you might have to make two, to your point. That's what you're saying. Like, it's not like you went from maybe making 0 decisions to now making 2 decisions, because at some point when you get lost in your way on this season, because quite frankly, I just don't think they're like that good of a football team. They'll probably lose some games along the way. The noise will build up. You'll second guess your decision, or you'll have to make one. The only thing that changes that is if like Russell Wilson gets hurt or if he has some kind of setback. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that part shakes out. Hey, do you have Tank Bigsby lined up? I know we're going to get up against it before 1 o'clock, so I want to get some of these interviews in. And I also want to tell people, too, a little bit about the stadium and the room I was in yesterday and kind of how that played out. I just think it was kind of cool, and I think some people who like the stadium approval stuff will like to hear a couple of the small details, at least, and anecdotes out of that room. So we'll do that on the other side of a break. But before we do that, let's get to Tank Bigsby. Had a chance to catch up with the Jaguars running back, and it appears like he's running back 1 right now. And not based on kind of the conversation of last week, where was he going to get more carries because he's got 8 yards a carry. It's now based on the health of really Travis Etienne. He practiced a little bit today, but very limited, and I almost don't expect him to play this week. The Jags really don't have much in the running back room. I mean, it's Etienne who's banged up, and it's Dearness Johnson and Tank Bigsby. They signed a guy last week. I didn't even know who he was when I looked out there today. And, like, they are very thin in the running back room. Tank Bigsby is going to have to play, and right now, I don't think that's a terrible thing. I think he's providing some energy to the group. I think as long as he holds on to the football, I think he can really make a difference and help this team on offense. And then I do end up asking him about why he's not on the field more, and that's basically come back to protection. Can he get to be a 3-down back in the NFL? That's a harder thing than people want to say. You don't just throw him out there. You can really screw that up if you just throw a guy out there who doesn't know what he's doing. And you got to believe that's part of the reason why Dearness Johnson is getting so many snaps right now. Here's my conversation just a short time ago here in London with Jags running back Tank Bigsby. A lot of energy out there today. I mean, how much do you guys have to do that right now, given the situation you're in? Create some of that.
It's really just come out and enjoy it, man. Enjoy every moment we get. So I feel like that's what we did today. Took advantage. Forgot what we didn't. Of course, we didn't forget, but just move on and try to get on a better page. And felt like that was a step today. 2 ways to do that, right? Bring the energy to practice. Obviously, bring the energy in the game and make plays. And it seems like you've done that for this football team. Do you now lean on that a little bit more and say, hey, I want to be an energy provider to this offense? Well, I've always been that guy, just to create energy. But, I just do whatever my position is, whatever my role is, do what I got to do to handle my job at my best ability. And, just continue to step above the sticks, and try to help this team as much as I can. Well, you might have to a little bit more now. Obviously, Travis is a little banged up. I'm not sure where he's going to be. Yeah. Do you feel now comfortable with that workload to be able to handle what they're going to ask you to do? Oh, yeah. I'm, continue to work and practice, continue to study more and get better each every week. And God willing, just continue to press every week and be who I am, Stay on course. They say one of the toughest things as a young back is to pick up the pass protections and be that 3-down guy. Right. How are you coming along in that phase? It's all about getting opportunities and getting going at it. That's how you build your confidence at it. And as you continue to get going and you get in those positions and you start seeing it, it starts to become more easy. It just become more like a rapid-fire thing, like it's just natural. But it's a 3-back thing, that's the thing in this league. And I'm looking forward to showcasing whatever I can do, like I said, to help this team. So whatever they ask for me, I'm going to do it at my best ability. One of the ways you showcase yourself, I remember, I think it was Tennessee last year on the kickoff stuff, and now recently this year. What is it about that? Why does that fit your style, your game, your vision so well? I like to run the ball, and that's an opportunity, especially with the new scheme of kick return. It's like a big inside zone, so God blessed me in so many ways, and I'm thankful for it. Just being able to hit it, and when I see the crease and just accelerate. Can't forget the most important thing, ball security going through it. But at the end of the day, just seeing that crease and accelerating, not tiptoeing. How are you and you guys doing with the, the mentality of all this? It's tough. It's tough being 1-5, right? Yeah, it's very tough being 1-5. But you can't forget who you are in these moments. Adversity shows your real character. And that's what I stand on. You know, you can't be a good person every time something going good. You have to be the same person that you was when things going good is bad. So I feel like now is a moment for us to see who are we in our character, and I feel like the guys are ready to respond. We just got to keep putting our best foot forward.
One last one for you. Obviously, Andre said some things after the game. I know you're on the offensive side, but how have you guys rallied around him, rallied around that? That can do a couple of different things sometimes.
Yeah, you know, as a team, we got each other back. You know, I feel like we brothers and we look out for each other. Offense, defense, no matter what it is, special teams, we go out and compete for each other and lay it on the line. And that's what they got to come to every week, every Sunday. You know, don't bring the energy in practice, bring it on Sundays and go compete.
Well, there you go. Let's thank Bigsby. I think I'm breaking up here, Hamby, so I'm not sure if I'll make it to the commercial time or not. But if you can hear me fine, that's a good deal. One thing that I thought was interesting about that, and again, another guy that wasn't or didn't look to be bothered, obviously not bothered in front of a microphone when it comes to the Andre Cisco comments. But I thought it was interesting to hear him talk about kickoffs and the way he described it. He said it's like one big inside zone play.
Zone.
And he's like, I like that stuff. That fits my vision. That was an interesting way to describe it, but he has had some success. He's got to hold on to the football, right? I almost didn't want to bring that up and put the bad thoughts in his head, but he knows it. He brought it up. Ball security is a big deal, and I still think he's got to work on that. He looks like he's holding that kind of free. He's got to tighten that thing up or something, especially in that. On the kickoffs, we've seen him fumble twice. Now, one he took a huge lick on, and maybe 90% of the guys would have fumbled on. And this one, obviously, the Jags got back. But you can't just dismiss it, because the bottom line is you want him there. He's been very good in that kickoff, way better than I would have thought. And I think it was the Tennessee game when they really showcased him last year a little bit more at the end of the season. I think he had a big kickoff return in that one too. So this is something that he can really help you with right now. And the Jags need some of that explosion. Shoot, man, if they could get a free 6-7 points on a kickoff sometime soon, that would really help, because they can't get over 21 points right now with the way their offense is cooking or not cooking.
Yeah. And I just like how you asked him about it. And he goes, yeah, I just really like running the ball. Like the almost the most over obvious statement of all time from back in the NFL.
He is listen, they all are, but then what I say in here is that he's a physical specimen. And what's interesting to my eyes, at least, I don't know if everybody sees this, but what around here in Jacksonville, we've had take Maurice Jones-Drew, right? He was an explosive player, but he was obviously this small guy and big guy. Like, he had width to him, right? Like, he could run you over. Rolling ball of butcher knives, as they call them. Well, when you get Tank Bigsby and we're thinking third and short, and everybody knows this, perception-wise, you're like, okay, you're a short yardage guy, and his name's Tank. And he looked at first when he came to Jacksonville, and you're watching the college games, more of, not Maurice Jones-Drew, but more of that maybe slower, more powerful, compact, roll you over kind of back, right? That compact kind of back. To me this year, I don't know if it's the uniforms or what he did to his body or just his play, he actually looks like a way more explosive back just by when you watch him. Forget about the result of the play. He almost looks thinner, but still obviously has the strength to be able to run over people. And you know what that might be? That might just be what it looks like to see a player be decisive and confident. And that's what he looks like. He is exploding into holes, or his vision, he's popping over to it, to see an open crease. Like, to me, that probably screams confidence and the way he's playing, that it almost makes his body look like he's thinned out and he's gotten faster instead of stronger type of thing. It's just a weird thing in my mind when I watch him run. How explosive he looks. And maybe that's just the expectation. Like I said, I didn't really think we'd get that part from him. But if you go back now these last 6 weeks, you talk about explosive plays. If you think about plays that are like 19, 20 yards and more, I know he's had the touchdown one, which was the physical run. He had the 65-yarder. He had the 58-yarder. He had a 28-yard screen pass. He had like a 45-yard return the other day. I mean, Those are 5 that I can remember. I'm probably missing 1 or 2 somewhere along the way. So he has become an explosive player, probably in every bit of the nature of that conversation as Brian Thomas Jr. has become for the Jags in the first 6 games. You talk about your explosive players. They're really right now Tank Bigsby and Brian Thomas Jr. And I don't think we would have said that at the start of the year.
No, we definitely would have. But that was my point on Monday is why, there wasn't a more concerted effort to get those guys the football against the Bears. And I know that the Bears defense is good and they did scheme up stuff for them, but didn't it just feel from a feel standpoint that there could have been more work out there for Tank and Brian Thomas Jr.? Because look, if we are recognizing that those are their 2 most explosive guys, I guarantee you that that the Jags coaching staff has been known that and has been ready to get those guys the football at any point. It just seemed like that's what I wonder against the Patriots this Sunday. How much of a concerted effort is to get those guys both the football in space? And I know they will, but just how much? And are they okay with lessening the workload of guys like Ingram, right? To get more feeding time and feature time to these 2 guys.
Well, the big story going into last week was how they're going to share the load with Etienne and Bigsby, right? How are you going to get Bigsby more? You have to. I mean, look at the yards, 8 yards a touch, and look what they were doing. We put a graphic up like he was on the field versus when he wasn't on the field. I don't think that's the question this week. We know he's going to play. I think the question is, what does he look like if you give him 20 carries in a game? Can you get him 20 carries in a game? And do we see him working? It doesn't always have to be explosive. Can he go boom, 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 and then see you, right? Like, can he work the game from that running back spot like he did in college, or like we've seen many backs do across the league, whereby you get to the 4th quarter and that's run number 21 and 22, and that one is really where it breaks free. I'm interested to see if he can carry that kind of load for the Jags. He hasn't been asked to do that yet. Let's see if he does that, gets the opportunity to do that. And so much has to do with if they can get first downs, keep the ball, get more plays, get in a rhythm, because it got out of sync on their 4 possessions after the opening touchdown. It got out of sync to the point where I don't think they could do that with Tank Bigsby and their running back rotation even on Sunday against the Chicago Bears. All right,
Brent,
let's take a timeout. Got to get one in here. Right,
with the potential, the high likelihood that he gets upwards of 15 touches, right, with Etienne likely out, you can make an argument that the Jags front office decision of whether to keep Etienne or not will be made this Sunday, because they're getting a good look at what it would be without him. Oh, Bigsby's getting 17, 18, 19 touches, and Dearness is a backup. Well, that's what it's going to look like if Etienne were to go. So I think the decision, a lot of eyes are going to be on that position this Sunday.
Yeah, that's a pretty good call. And by the way, it's not, I wouldn't say just this week. I think you're right where you're going with this week and next week potentially, because we don't know when Etienne's even coming back. Let's assume that he could get back by next week in Green Bay, but we don't know that with the hamstring. These hamstrings have knocked guys out now for 4 weeks. It was Tyson and it was Ingram, both out for 4 weeks. So I don't think we can count on him coming back. So it might be like a 2-week sample of Bigsby in that main role that gives you the comfort if you're the Jags to say, you know what? We love Etienne too, but maybe this is the right move to make, and we feel confident in this guy. And they might get Robinson back, the rookie as well, the chance to show his stuff, but he's still not on the field and really hasn't been. And so that's a great unknown, even though he is on the roster. All right, we got to take a timeout. Come back from London to Jacksonville. Brent Martineau, Jason Hamby, Brent and Austen show. Austen out today, but little look at practice, and there is Etienne and Dearness Johnson. That's about as much as Travis Etienne did while we were out there today, but he was in uniform, so there's some significance to that. My assumption is he was or will be listed as limited on the practice report. We'll be right back on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at nimnichtbuickgmc.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple. Nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder grade materials. And there's more, and for that we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue.
How is that even possible?
The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts. Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Well, look at practice once again. We keep showing you some of the video that was out there today. Of course, we're the only local media here in London right now, in England, as we take a look at Jacksonville as well on this Wednesday afternoon here in London and now in Jacksonville. 5:38 here, 12:38 back home. Hope everybody's having a great day and the beautiful weather that now exists in Jacksonville. So it's supposed to be a nice week, which is pretty good. So which way should I go here? Look better. There we go. You don't have to mess around, Hamby. I got you covered. See, I was helping you out. See, I understand this stuff, much like Mayor Donna Deegan yesterday. So here's the deal. Let me tell you a little bit about the story yesterday and how all this took place. We knew that the stadium vote was happening. We knew it was expected approval. Obviously, we also told you and let you know throughout the last couple of days that Shad Khan and Mark Lamping were not going to fly back to Atlanta. Roger Goodell, the commissioner, and the owner said, don't worry about that. You can jump in virtually on the meeting. What I didn't know until yesterday, until right after, is that Tony Khan had helped represent the Jags at that meeting because they had to make the vote at the meeting or they would abstain from the vote, which, of course, Jacksonville didn't want to abstain from the vote. That's like, they got that vote. But anyway, that's how some of that transpired. Well, so we got an opportunity. We didn't know. We knew that the Jags were going to try to get Mark Lamping, Shad Khan, and Mayor Donna Deegan together here in London because they were all here, but they apparently were at different events. They weren't even together last night. They were just somewhere in London, maybe it's blocks away, miles away, whatever it was. I don't know where they were. But they were going to collectively try to get them around 9:30 our time in the evening to be able to meet the media after the approval of the stadium. And so that was the plan, and on a Zoom call, because how else are you really going to do it for everybody back home in Jacksonville to be able to ask questions and get the news of the day and a big story, which is absolutely a huge story. So they had all that set up, but about 7:15 or so, I got word that if we wanted to go to that hotel, we could go and talk and be there and see Shad and Mark and the mayor. And so, but that's not close. It would end up being a 45-minute drive, but it can be as much as like an hour and 15-minute drive here in London. So, and like Weber, because we didn't plan on this, Weber had gone for the day to see family in the Netherlands. So he wasn't here. And so I'm like, how this works in our business, Andy. It's like, crap. Like I can shoot, but now we're trying to interview and shoot and do all this stuff and gather it. And I was getting a car ready to go to there. And fortunately, John Ozier jumped in as well. He wasn't going to help. Ozier's not going to help, but he was going to at least be there for the ride. But Patrick Cavanaugh used to work at our place before he worked for the Jags. He works for the Jags now, and I think a lot of folks know that. He was there too. So the three of us ended up going. So PCAV could help actually do some of the camera work for me while we were getting some of the stuff and do all that. So that's kind of setting the table. But we had already been at this hotel on Saturday to interview Shad and Mark, which our sit down was. And it's basically like a conference room. I mean, so take whatever conference room that, if it's a big table, it could seat like 10 people and there's very little like space in there. So that's where they were doing the interview and that's where we were doing our interviews. And at the same time, this is all happening like right between like 4 and 5 o'clock Eastern, which of course is prime time for us in the news business when our newscasts are starting to happen. So there's all this stuff kind of collectively happening in one spot. And so some of the anecdotes from out there, which I thought it was just pretty neat to see it unravel from this end. Because when we were in the room waiting, probably at about, I think we got there maybe about 8:40 or so, 8:30, 8:40. And the vote came down like right at 4 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock here. So they were very much on time. And Mark Lamping got a text from the owners' meetings and it said unanimous vote, 32-0. And we were actually debating, like just in conversation before that, do we think it's going to be unanimous or not? And I don't think he wondered, but he didn't know. And he wasn't like, yeah, slam dunk, unanimous. I think they were very confident they'd get 24 votes, but unanimous. I don't know if anybody knew that would happen or not, because you always have somebody that wants to go a different way in these type of things in almost any vote. So what was kind of cool about that is when Mark got word, and then we started like, almost like from a breaking news standpoint. Well, Shad had just come down from his hotel room, presumably on the call, and made his way in, and he knew the vote was going through. But we're the ones that told him, like he had just found out when he walked in the room, like, yeah, it was unanimous. And he was like, obviously very, very happy about it. So that was kind of cool to see, like, just that whole exchange. And about 20 minutes later, the mayor came in because she was at a different event. And we were able to knock out one-on-ones with each Shad, Mark, and the mayor. And so again, this is all transpiring right around. We're trying to send this back. We're in this small room. We got our tripod and camera. They got their set up for the Zoom call, 3 of them in a row, big table, 10 people in this conference room. And so they finished the Zoom call and the media call with Jacksonville. And this now is about 5:05 your time, Hamby. So right before the newscast, and they want me live. And well, they're kind of like celebrating. They're talking, and they just can take a breath about everything that happened over the last hour. And obviously, it's a great time for them and the work that they put into it. And I'm like, hey, I got to go live here. Like, I've got nowhere to go. The way this stuff works, like, they don't want you being live at hotels. Like, we go on the road with the Jags all the time. Hotels do not want you live, like, outside their hotel. They don't want that. Or they have to get like some corporate, permission. Well, here in London, they don't even want you live like on a sidewalk. You have to have like a special permit to be live like on sidewalk, especially because there's so many landmarks here in London. We found that out way back years ago, so we don't even try it anymore. So it's not like I could run down, go outside, and just pop up and go live for 5. And Abby, I got the producers and everybody's calling. It's like, I'm kind of stuck. Like, I can't go anywhere. And so I had said, like, hey, you guys can talk. You won't be on camera, but I'm going live in here. And so then Mayor Donna Deegan was like, oh, you're good. We'll go out in the hallway. So she like took everybody out in the hallway as they continued their conversation / celebration. So I could go live. I was like, hey, this is good. We have a mayor that understands the TV business.
Yeah.
Well done. So bigger win on that, at least for me, than even the stadium, quite frankly, that we're able to figure out that live shot, because back there, they would have been mad if I couldn't pull off the live shot. In hindsight, Hamby, I probably should have done even one better. We need to get you live right here during the live hit. But we had already been granted some pretty good access there, so I wasn't going to I wasn't going to push it quite a bit. So anyway, that was kind of the scene where we were, and all that kind of transpired in like a 45-minute window, but also like right on time. This thing went smoothly for the NFL owners meetings, but for Jacksonville and for the Jags, like everything, there was no hiccup in it at all. On their end here in London, for even doing like the media Zoom call, I'm talking about the owners. And to say 32-0, I think says a lot, man. Like, I think that I don't think it mattered if it was 30-2 or 29-3. But what I like about it not being that is, wouldn't we have all been a little curious? All right, who are the 3?
Right.
Like, oh, Jerry Jones
100%.
doesn't like Jacksonville as the owner, or this doesn't like it. Like, because that's what you kind of want to find that out. So 32-0 to me said a lot. And it says a lot because if you folks that watch our show or listen to our show and have been around Jacksonville for a long time, we've all experienced this now over the last 10, 11, 12 years, maybe even longer, 15 years, from tarps to the Jason La Canforas of the world and Pro Football Talks, almost wanting this team to move somewhere else or move to London or whatever it is. And, it feels good, at least for me, and nobody's going to sit there and go and say nice job or go back and look this up. But I've been on a radio, what's the radio stuff, TV-wise, 16 years, but really the radio side of things, when we talk about these in depth, since for like over 10 years now. And I've always said, I never thought London meant the Jags were moving to London. I never thought the Jags were going anywhere. I always thought Shad, even in the early days, was true to his word, to what he agreed with Wayne Weaver, where he was going to make it work in Jacksonville. Now, there's an element there that if the city of Jacksonville didn't make it work, that's on them, right? If they didn't want to move forward and be progressive and all this stuff and play the ball with the NFL, that's on them. I didn't have as much confidence in that, but I always thought that Shad wanted to be here, wanted to make this work, saw this as a hidden gem, blank canvas. Like I said, even 10 years ago, like they're going to build a statue of Shad Khan one day. Because I've always thought that way about this. So to get like the La Canforas of the world, especially since I've been over here and I've been at Super Bowls and I've been at drafts and I've heard these conversations, and it's like, oh yeah, one time I was at a Super Bowl, I think it was MetLife Stadium, And I had somebody from London, Sky Sports, say, hey, by 2021, there's a lot of word that like the Jags are going to go over there. I'm like, no, there's not. Like, that ain't happening. And Lock and Four like must have reported it around that time or had said it because he said something like this. And it's like, never believed it. Like, I don't know Shad, like pick up the phone and call. No, let me not misrepresent this, but I've been around him enough to know in conversations and one-on-one interviews and some talk here, like that was never it. That was never the part of it. And it's never been part of it. It's really been a lot about Jacksonville, what's good for Jacksonville. And we cannot like some of the home games going here and all this stuff. But I don't think this was ever about anything else but sustainability. And obviously there's finances in this thing too. It is a business, but also what can you make Jacksonville? And one of the reasons why, even if you're not a big Shad fan, just think about it from an egotistical standpoint. I'm not even saying Shad is this way, but he's one of the few people in the world that could actually do this because of the amount of money he has. Imagine being like one of the richest people in the world and taking a top 50 city in America with an ocean and a river and airports and all this land and room to grow in a city in a downtown that's not built up and really doesn't have a true identity from maybe a food or a this or a that or an iconic landmark. And you get to put your fingerprints all over that. Just take it from a selfish view, ego view. If you had the money to be able to do that in an American city, like
right.
That's what he got. That's what he could do. Now he can't do it by himself. He needs partnerships in the city and everything else. But that's why, for me, I never thought anything but that. So I think all of this comes back to yesterday and what happened. It was significant. And to be 32-0 in the owners and the owners saying, hey, we believe in Jacksonville, even though not everybody has for the last 30 years, but we believe in Jacksonville. We believe in the city. We believe in the organization. But specifically, I'm telling you this, and he's not going to get enough of it because fans are mad at the record right now. But this was a vote for Shad Khan. Like, this was 32-0 for Shad Khan. This was, we believe in what Shad Khan has done in Jacksonville. And Shad Khan means to the NFL. And Shad Khan has done for the NFL really in the last 12, 13, 14 years since being part of this fraternity, if you will. And so I think they really value him as an owner. And I've heard a lot of good things over the years about Shad. Oh, you got to remember, these guys are on committees and other things. They have their hands, stuff that you don't see and we don't see. So again, I'm not blowing smoke here. I'm just telling you stuff. You can go back and listen to me 10 years ago. You can go back and listen to me 7 years ago. You go back and listen to me 4 years ago. You can listen to me right now. And I've been very consistent with this. And I think we saw it happen yesterday. And by the way, congrats to the city for dancing too. Not everybody loves it. I get it. Not everybody's going to love it. But to me, it's the right thing that was done. I always reference this. And just for, people don't know, like, I'm from Rhode Island. When I left for school, when I was 18 years old to go to a school in Ohio, Providence, Rhode Island was like a whatever place now. Like, it was, I wouldn't call it a dump, but it wasn't like Jacksonville's not a dump either. But let's just say it was more Jacksonville than it is like Nashville. Okay. And when I went to school, I came back and they had rebuilt the city. Like 4 years later, 5 years later, they had rebuilt the city and people rave about it. Like, people like to go there. If you go to Providence, Rhode Island, now you'd be like, hey, it's a nice city. That's a cool city. That's great restaurants, great this, great that, a river in the middle of it. Like, just these things that like they never talked about when I was a kid growing up. And then on top of that, what they did in Foxborough, Massachusetts, where people called like the armpit of Massachusetts, where the New England Patriots played, on a terrible stadium and a terrible football team. And they stayed there. They built up a new stadium. They started winning. They built up Patriots Place. So like, I saw this all firsthand. Forget about Indianapolis and the place Peyton built or other places that have built up around it. I watched this firsthand as a kid growing up and saw this now like in my adult life back home. And so that's why I kind of always believed it. That's where this comes from for me. And I just firmly believe that it might be sooner, but I would say by 2035, in the next 10 years, we're going to have people come into Jacksonville and be like, holy bleep. Like, it's going to like, whoa. And
It did not happen as fast as Charlotte and Carolina with the Panthers and football. It's not happening as fast as the growth in Nashville, Tennessee, perhaps, and what everybody makes that out to be now is Music City. We've had other stories be told, but I think right now we're in the middle of it, and it didn't start yesterday. I don't think it started last year. I think it probably started some 5, 6, 7 years ago, and there just haven't been like these huge things to say, wow, look. Well, we're about to get to wow, look. We're going to have the Four Seasons Hotel there, and then you're going to have this stadium. And around that is going to be other things that start to blossom and grow. And we're going to have like somebody's going to come into Jacksonville in 4 years and be like, holy crap, like, look at that. So I'm not, maybe I'm wrong, but that's my spiel on why I think this is a big deal. And this is from an outside guy that's moved to Jacksonville and now calls Jacksonville his home, right? And we're not going anywhere. And it's our kids where we grew up. They grew up, and I think it's going to be really cool to see over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, here's one other element to this, and this is real stuff. The reason why I think it works so well in a place like Indianapolis, in a place like New England, is because they started winning. They won at the same time a lot of this stuff was happening. And now listen, those guys won big in New England. I'm not telling you have to do that. They won in Indianapolis. They won big eventually, but they didn't always win big. I think the Jags, the last part of this, the frustrating part of this, is that they can't get it done on the field to the degree that we think they should be able to get it done on the field. That's an element of this. And does that coincide with an opening of the stadium? Does that happen in the next couple of years? Do we have to wait until 2032, where this is a sustained winner, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of we're a playoff team, we're one of the teams to beat? I don't know when it's happening. It's going to happen. Like Murphy's Law says it's going to happen. It's going to be like that 90s run at some point. I just don't know when. And when that happens, with everything else going on in the city, I'm telling you, it's going to be pretty cool. Like I'm still covering the Jags when all that stuff happens, Hamby.
Yeah, I think, and hopefully it'll get to the point because of all the winning and because of how much they've brought to downtown that we become a real contender to host the Super Bowl. Like that's the kind of stuff that you get to is being, eligible to host things like that. I mean, I believe they came out yesterday and said that Atlanta is going to host the 2028 Super Bowl again, and they've hosted it. They hosted it not that long ago, but it's the NFL believes is a great place for the Super Bowl, and I don't think anybody would say that about Jacksonville now. But can we get to a place in 5 years with the new stadium in 2029, 30, where there's the stadium and what's around it is enough to where the Super Bowl would be a big time winner and it would play? And now again, you just talk about Shad. That's another thing that would be stamped on Shad's legacy is he did something that brought a Super Bowl to the city, brought a lot of money to the city, and transformed it in a way that few people could have ever even thought of doing.
We would, by the way, I'd love to see the NFL draft here in Jacksonville. I'm going to lose this bet I made. I think I made it back in like 17 or 18. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look. But I had said like the Jags were really close to pitching for the for the draft back in like that 17. Remember when it started to move out of New York City with Chicago and Philly and places like they actually went to like Philadelphia and started to do like legwork on, okay, here's what it looks like. Here's how it does. Like they sent people there to put together. They had proposals, I think, almost ready to go. I might have that a little off, but they were very close to trying to pitch the draft to Jacksonville. Well, then what happened is like the effort to do like Lot J and things like that, years ago. And then on top of that, I think it went to Nashville right after. It would have been 19 in Nashville. So right about that time, like Nashville blows up to have like 500,000 people there or whatever. And you're like, all right, wait a minute. We got to stop. We need to make sure, first of all, we have no construction going on when we pitch this. We have a plan to build up downtown. If we're going to do this and host this, let's make sure we've got everything else in play first. Mm-hmm. That looks good. So I think it's really been delayed, but like I still will guarantee you that the draft is coming to Jacksonville at some point. It just has to have from the Four Seasons to other hotels to the stadium, maybe, because it's a great spot for it. I've been to a ton of drafts, like Daly's Place and
how it's connected to the stadium right there, and now the Miller Electric Center and things you could do. Like, they have a really good setup for the draft. They need some other elements downtown to be a nice, attractive place, in my opinion, to go. But they'll get the draft. Now, I might lose. I think I had promised like a Ruth's Chris dinner if they didn't have it in like 10 years. We did have a pandemic that set that back. So I'm not sure where I am on my paying up, because I don't think it's coming until, I would say, the earliest like 2030 or something like that. And I don't even know that. I'm just kind of guessing. But it would be it's down the road. But it's coming. I think the draft is coming. I didn't like hear that from anybody. I'm just telling you, I think it's coming. It makes sense that it would come. And as long as they continue to move it around, Jacksonville's a perfect place for that. The Super Bowl, I don't feel anything about. They just haven't even had that on their radar. They have college football national championships now and college football playoff stuff on their radar, but not that. All right. I think that's going to do it. We're up against it. Hey, we'll do this again tomorrow. We've got coverage tonight on CBS 47, Fox 30, everything that happened in practice and here in London today. Hope you have a good Wednesday. We have a full lineup on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. And join us tomorrow, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. on the Brent and Austen Show. Have a great day, everybody.